Your forehead tightens. The cursor blinks like a metronome of pressure. A dozen tabs, 3 chat threads, a calendar alert you already snoozed twice. Your chest feels crowded, as if someone stacked invisible boxes on your sternum. The hum of the room gets louder, then louder again, until it becomes a single gray hiss inside your skull. You try to choose one thing to do, but thoughts splinter. What if you miss a message? What if you forget the invoice? What if you choose the wrong thing and waste the afternoon? Your jaw clamps, shoulders creep up, time dilates. Sound familiar? Here's the promise. By the end of this session, you'll know how to cut mental noise on command, reclaim signal, and take one clean action without second-guessing who you are. Think of the mind like a studio desk. When everything is plugged in, memories, worries, notifications, your brain's mixer lights up, red on every channel. The amygdala boosts the noise floor because it thinks you need to notice everything to stay safe. Blood flow leans away from your prefrontal cortex, the part that makes choices and sequences. That's not a character flaw, that's protective wiring. The good news is that wiring is adjustable in minutes. You're not removing thoughts, you're repositioning them, the way a sound engineer pulls down a fader and brings up the microphone that matters. Let's start with the clean sweep protocol. You will use it whenever your mind feels staticky. It has 3 moves, each short enough to fit inside 1 minute. First is breath reset, then label and park, then smallest clear move. Simple doesn't mean shallow, it means frictionless. Simplicity sneaks past your brain's resistance and reopens the lane to clarity. Sit how you're sitting, don't fix posture yet. Notice the weight of your body on the chair, the pressure points under your thighs, the slight warmth in your palms. Without rushing, inhale for 4 counts, hold for 4 and exhale for 6. Do that again. The longer exhale tells the vagus nerve, we are safe enough to choose, and your heart rate variability nods in agreement. In this space, thoughts still exist, but their urgency de-amplifies. In a fluorescent conference room months ago, Jonah's mind felt like a shopping mall loudspeaker. Quarterly review, stalled deal, a manager's raised eyebrow. He wanted to impress, and that made him clench. He remembered the first move, breath reset. He quietly counted 4, 4, 6 twice. The room didn't change, but the hiss did. He could suddenly hear the central signal. The client needed 1 line of proof, not a flood of features. Jonah asked a single question. They signed 2 days later. He walked out stunned at how little bravado it took to act cleanly. Focus again on your breath. Notice coolness at the tip of your nose. Feel your ribs expand, your belly soften a little on the exhale. Let your gaze land on one still object in the room, a doorknob, a plant leaf, the corner of your screen. This anchors your reticular activating system. The RAS acts like a bouncer. When you assign it a target, it downranks the rest. You're not forcing focus, you're giving your brain a friendly job. Now the second move, label and park. You are going to list the loudest tracks without solving them. Say silently, I'm having the thought that I might forget the invoice. Park it by writing a tiny square next to invoice on any scrap or notes app. Next, I'm having the thought that my manager will be disappointed. Park it small square, 1 word. The language matters. I'm having the thought that loosens the Velcro between you and the story. You are the awareness noting the weather, not the weather itself. Your identity does not equal the static. You are the one hearing it. Notice your jaw. Let it drop a few millimeters. Tongue rests on the floor of the mouth. Shoulders slide down like warm wax. Inhale 4, hold 4, exhale 6. With every exhale, imagine turning down a dial labeled urgency of everything else. On your paper or screen, you now have a tiny row of boxes with 1-word labels. They're not erased, they're parked like bikes outside a cafe. You will come back if needed. For now, you're entering the cafe where the conversation is clear. The third move is smallest clear move. Not the finish line, not the 5-step plan. Ask, what is one action that would make the rest easier? The brain loves closure. It releases dopamine when you complete a small loop. That biochemical pat on the shoulder is leverage, not decoration. If the task is a big write-up, the smallest clear move could be open document and type the working title. If it's a tough message, it could be write the first sentence without sending. Choose one. Name it out loud, then do it for 60 seconds. When the minute closes, you will feel a faint settling in your chest, as if a drawer slid into place. You might protest that your situation is different, heavier, more complex. Of course it is. Complexity is real, but the nervous system still runs on signals. When you give it a clean loop, breathe, label, act, it learns, and learning is identity. With repetition, you stop being a person lost in static and become a person who engineers the soundboard. The noise is still there, but you know where the mute button lives. Now here's a companion method you'll return to again and again, the signal finder. It's a 2-question reframe that teaches your RAs what to spotlight. Ask, what matters in the next 60 seconds? Then ask, what is mine to do and what is not? The second question cuts borrowed problems. You don't erase empathy, you draw a contour around what you can influence. The difference between helpful and heavy-handed lies in that contour. A friend named Aisha used it on a Sunday evening, the classic dread hour. Slack pings, laundry unfolded, mother texting about a doctor appointment. Her heart thudded like a hand on a door. She sat on the edge of the bed and placed a palm over her sternum. 446. Then the 2 questions. What matters in the next 60 seconds? Put the sheets in the washer. Reply to her mother with calling you at 9. And block 20 minutes to scan the project notes. What is hers to do and not do? She can't solve the entire workweek now. She can reserve the first hour for shallow tasks to warm up. She stood, moved like a person who trusted herself, and did the smallest clear moves. The dread didn't vanish. It thinned until she could see the path beneath it. Let your attention widen to the room again. Feel air on your cheeks, the fabric against your skin, the slight buzz in your forearms as blood flow returns to baseline. This is not about manufacturing calm, it's about recovering agency. Calm is a side effect of agency, not the other way around. When you declare what matters now and act, your nervous system recalibrates. When you delay action and binge worry, it interprets that as a cue to amplify noise. You'll notice a temptation to perfect the protocol instead of doing it. Perfectionism is noise wearing a tidy suit. If you stall, name it. I am having the thought that I must do this perfectly for it to count. Then perform a micro version, 1 breath, 1 label, 1 minute. The brain learns from repetitions, not from dramatic performances. Neuroplasticity is the gardener, and you are the one choosing what gets watered today. Return to your list of parked items, scan it once. If anything still spikes your heart, put a star next to it. That star is not a threat, it's just a strong frequency. Whisper, noted, then direct your eyes back to your single target. You're teaching your biology that presence is safer than scatter. Over days, the gap between noticing noise and shifting to signal shrinks. That gap is the birthplace of your clean mindset. Let's practice a full cycle together. Soften your gaze. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6. Name the top 3 thoughts with "I'm having the thought that," and park them with small boxes. Choose the smallest clear move, the one that would reduce friction by even 5%. Begin now for 60 seconds. As you move, notice micro-sensations, the weight of your wrist as it types, the click under your fingers, the temperature of the room, the sound of your own exhale like a slow tide. At the end of the minute, pause, let your shoulders drop. Feel the subtle warmth of completion spread across your chest. That warmth is signal. Memorize it. You might worry that if you stop scanning everything, you'll miss something important. Here's the science again, plain and honest. Your brain's negativity bias is wired to overdetect problems. That was useful when twigs snapping could mean predator. In modern life, it bloats the noise layer. The signal finder doesn't make you naive. It gives you the accuracy to respond to real signals. Accuracy is not apathy. Precision beats panic. There's another layer to the clean sweep protocol that unlocks identity shift, the naming of the room. Close your eyes for a moment or lower your gaze. Picture a quiet room with high windows and pale light. This is your mental studio. Every time you run the protocol, mentally enter that room. Over time, the door opens faster. The brain loves cues and contexts. When you feel the hiss rising, you step into the studio. You breathe, you label, you act. And you remember, with a small smile, that you are the engineer, not the feedback loop. Earlier today, you may have snapped at someone or avoided a task because the static was thick. That happened. It's already in the past. In this minute, you reassign roles. You are not the voice of panic. You are the awareness that hears it, thanks it for its primal job, and then decides. The clean mindset is not sterile or cold. It's clear water after sediment settles. It's the soft click when a lens focuses. Notice your feet. If you can, press them gently into the floor for 5 seconds and release. This signals groundedness through proprioception. Feel your breath widen into your back ribs. Imagine a dial from 0 to 10. Where is the noise now? If it dropped even 1 notch, you have proof. Proof grows trust. Trust fuels the next small action. That action compounds into momentum, and momentum is how your days begin to feel like they belong to you again. The clean sweep protocol is your portable broom, your pocket sound mixer, your repeatable ritual. You'll forget it some days. That does not erase who you are becoming. The identity shift is cemented by returning, not by never straying. When you return, you tell your brain a story stronger than worry. I am a person who can cut mental noise and choose one thing that matters. Say it under your breath if you like. Feel how your shoulders rearrange themselves around that sentence. To close this session, run one more microcycle. 4 in, 4 hold, 6 out. Label and park one thought with I'm having the thought that. Name one smallest clear move. Do it now for 60 seconds. Hear the pencil scratch. See the cursor move. Smell the ordinary air. As the minute ends, lift your eyes and notice the light in the room, even if it's artificial, even if it's dim. You are the awareness, not the emotion. You are the engineer, not the echo. This is not about becoming a robot. It's about recovering your human agency, clean and kind. Your mind is cleaner than yesterday, but there's still a faint shimmer of static at the edges, like dust dancing in a beam of light. This is where most people stop, better than before, not yet free. Today you learn how to maintain the clarity you created so it doesn't slip back to gray. The goal is simple. Keep signals strong, keep noise honest, and move through your day like someone who trusts their own choices. You'll add 2 tools, the Focus Faucet and the 90-second weather rule. One turns attention on and off deliberately. The other lets emotion pass without dragging you downstream. Together, they turn clean into durable. Start by noticing the quiet details in the room, the faint texture under your fingertips, the temperature along your forearms, the way your breath moves your shirt an imperceptible amount with each exhale. Your nervous system records these cues as safety signals. When safety increases, your prefrontal cortex opens for business, and that's where clean thinking lives. You are not trying to chase away thoughts. You are inviting your wiser circuitry to the table. The Focus Faucet is practical neuropsychology disguised as a kitchen metaphor. Attention, like water, needs a valve. Most days your valve is stuck half open, spilling attention over everything. The faucet has 4 positions: off, trickle, stream, and burst. Off is for deliberate non-doing, the micro-rests that reset your RAS. Trickle is for low-energy tasks where you avoid over-investing. Stream is for steady work blocks. Burst is for short, high-intensity sprints. You'll learn to set your valve before you start, so your brain knows how much power to deliver. This prevents over-engagement on trivial tasks and under-engagement on meaningful ones. Try it now. Choose one task within reach: a paragraph to write, a sheet to rename, a tab to close. Whisper the setting, stream for 20 minutes. Feel your breath steady, 4 in, 4 hold, 6 out. Imagine reaching up to a physical faucet and turning the handle until the flow is clean and even. When your attention starts to spray sideways toward messages or snacks, picture the handle and bring it back to stream. The image isn't childish, it's leverage. Your brain responds to symbols as reliably as to sentences. In a small design studio, Priya used to drown herself in burst all day, burning hot on every Slack ping. Her work looked busy but felt scattered. She tried the faucet for a week, off for 2 minutes between tasks to stare at the wavy shadow on the wall, trickle for inbox twice a day, stream for design iterations, burst only when exporting under deadline. On the 3rd day she noticed a sensation she hadn't felt in months: mental quiet that lingered. When a client called with last-minute demands, she didn't flood the entire afternoon with burst. She turned the valve to stream, moved through the request, and protected the design block. The deliverable improved precisely because she didn't blast it with panic. Check your jaw again, soften the hinge, let your tongue settle low. Roll your shoulders slow and hear the small creaks like old floorboards. Sensory detail marks the present moment. The present moment is low-noise terrain. You don't earn presence by suffering, you remember it by noticing what is already true in the body. This is not about becoming ethereal. It is about building an anchor you can step on whenever the mind gets slippery. Now the 90-second weather rule. This is how you honor emotions without letting them colonize the hour. The rule says, an unresisted emotional surge tends to crest and pass within about 90 seconds when you don't refeed it with catastrophic thoughts. Those 90 seconds are weather, not climate. Neuroscience translation. When you feel a hit of anger or fear, your limbic system sends a biochemical wave. Rumination renews the wave, but observation lets it metabolize. Practice when a surge hits, you name it, breathe once in the 4-4-6 cadence, set a 90-second timer if you can, and do nothing extra. You do not add catastrophic narratives. You stand under the rain with a hood and count. When the timer ends, you choose a smallest clear move. Emotion respected, agency intact. A story from a kitchen at 7:10 p.m. Jamal had planned dinner and a quiet night. A text arrives. A teammate missed a handoff. The project is at risk, and leadership wants answers. Heat flashes up his neck. His chest tightens like a belt tugged one notch too far. He almost fires off a sharp message. Instead, he closes his eyes for half a breath and whispers, "Weather." He sets a 90-second timer with his thumb. During the minute and a half, he notices his pulse in his wrists, the smell of garlic in the pan, the slight wobble of his breath at the top of the inhale. At second 87, he opens his eyes, takes one sip of water and types 2 sentences, "I'm on it. Give me 15 minutes to assess scope and options." He starts a stream block, lists facts, proposes next steps. The project still has issues, but Jamal remains the architect of his evening and his response, not the storm. Scan your body for 3 seconds. Temperature behind your eyes, the line where your shirt touches your collarbones, the sound just beyond the room, a car door, a hallway footstep. These details are bridges to the prefrontal cortex. Each time you cross, you carry the 90-second rule and the faucet with you, like tools in your pocket rather than theories in the clouds. Some will say, but my thoughts are too sticky, I can't just set a timer. True, thoughts are sticky because attachment gives them glue. You'll use a companion technique, thread cutting. It works like this. When a worry loops, say, I'm having the thought that, and then add, and I can let that thought float while I do X for 90 seconds. The second clause cuts the thread without denying the thought's existence. It's attention judo. You redirect force instead of fighting it. The thought often returns weaker because it wasn't rewarded with full rehearsal. Here's how you integrate these tools into the clean sweep you learned yesterday. You breathing reset, label and park, and smallest clear move. Between label and park and action, you set the faucet. When a surge hits, you run the weather rule before the move. And if the surge returns mid-action, you cut the thread and finish your minute. The order is flexible, the intention is not. You are protecting signal and honoring weather while you move. Inhale now and feel the air cool at the entrance of your nose. Exhale and feel a gentle warmth against your upper lip. Shift your gaze to a single line on your screen, a single seam in the wall. Give your eyes a place to rest. Your RAS loves a target. You are feeding it on purpose. A relationship example. Leela and her partner had the same fight about chores for the 10th time. The moment the topic surfaced, Leela felt her chest buzz with defensive electricity. She wanted to launch into evidence. Instead, she raised a finger, not a command, a signal, and said, "Give me 90 seconds." She stood by the sink, counted 10 slow breaths, and noticed the cool of the tile under her bare feet. When she returned, she set the faucet to stream rather than burst. "I want the kitchen clean," she said, "and I also want us to feel on the same team. What's one small change we can make tonight?" They decided on a 5-minute reset timer after dinner, both together, music on. The conversation didn't become magical, but it became human again. The clean mindset doesn't remove friction. It removes the static that makes friction sound like failure. Your identity is shifting in these small rehearsals. You used to be someone who waited for the perfect mood. Now you are someone who creates workable conditions in seconds. This is not bravado. It is craft. Craftspeople don't argue with grain direction, they work with it. Your grain is biology and attention. You are learning where to place the blade so your mind cuts clean. Another method to install, the two-window pane. It's a micro-visualization that separates what's happening from what it means. Picture 2 panes of glass. On the left, raw data, emails, expressions, numbers. On the right, interpretations. They're disappointed, I'm behind, this will never work. When noise rises, you breathe and place items deliberately in the left pane. Then you delay the right pane for 2 minutes. During those minutes, you run a stream block for a single left pane action. After the action, you revisit meanings with more oxygen in your thinking. This prevents the amygdala from painting the whole window before you've even cleaned the glass. Feel your spine stack one vertebra at a time, as if you're aligning a gentle string from tailbone to crown. Widen your field of view. Let your ears catch the farthest sound you can perceive. Let your breath be quiet, like fog rolling over a meadow. This is not poetic filler. Your vagus nerve reads these shifts and returns control to your executive systems. The cleaner your physiology, the cleaner your choices. Here is a drill to make the faucet automatic. It's called tag and turn. Each time you start an activity, you whisper its valve setting and duration: trickle 15, admin, stream 20, writing, burst 5, search fix. Then you tap the desktop lightly with your fingertips twice to mark the start. When you end, you tap once and say, off 2. The words and taps form a ritual loop. Your brain loves loops. After a week, you will feel lost when you skip it, not because the ritual is magic, but because it provides boundaries, and boundaries are the skeleton of a clean mindset. A workplace scene, fluorescent lights and recycling bins. Matteo manages a small team. Mondays used to eat him alive. By noon, he would scatter himself thin across 5 priorities, then drown in meetings. He installed tag and turn. At 9:00 he said, stream 20, plan board, taps twice. At 9:22 he said, off 2, 1 tap, stared out the window. At 9:24, trickle 15, inbox. His team noticed the change. When a crisis popped up, he didn't yank the handle to burst for an hour. He used the weather rule for 90 seconds, set stream for 30, and asked for only the data he needed. Projects accelerated, but more importantly, the culture shifted. People stopped equating urgency with excellence. Clarity became the metric. If an old belief surfaces, if I'm not buzzing, I'm not valuable, meet it like you would a nervous child. I hear you, I know you want to help, watch me do this clearly. Then you do it clearly for 1 minute. This is not toxic positivity. It is adult leadership applied to your nervous system. You are allowed to reassure yourself without lying. Feel your hands. Notice any micro-tremors easing as you exhale. Notice the cave-like quality behind your cheekbones when you unclench. See if you can perceive your heartbeat without touching your pulse. These games sharpen interoception. Interoception is your weather radar. The earlier you read a storm, the easier it is to respect it without canceling the day's flight. Let's practice the full integration. Choose a task area. Breathe 4, hold 4, exhale 6. Label and park the top 3 intrusive thoughts with I'm having the thought that. Set your faucet, stream or burst, your choice. Say the setting aloud, tap twice. Hit a 90-second timer and invite any emotion to crest without narration. When it settles, execute one's smallest clear move. At the end, tap once and give yourself off for 2 breaths. The loop takes under 4 minutes and teaches your brain that you can ride weather and still move the boat. A brief detour into brain talk, grounded and useful. The reticular activating system filters the flood of sensory data, tagging a target, like a line on a screen or a number in a cell, tunes it. The amygdala prioritizes potential threats. When you label a feeling and breathe longer on the exhale, you send an all clear. The prefrontal cortex sequences steps. When you choose smallest clear move, you shorten the distance to action. This triad becomes a choreography. You are not fighting yourself, you are conducting. Return to the 2-window pane for something you're avoiding. On the left, proposal due Friday, 3 sections unwritten. On the right, if I'm late, they'll think I'm incompetent. Breathe. Put your finger on the left pane mentally and drag a single item forward. Outline section headings. Set stream 15. Tap twice. Outline. When your mind tugs you to the right pane, whisper, later. Later isn't avoidance, it's sequencing. You are allowed to carry meaning with dignity, instead of letting it spill all over the desk. Consider a subtle form of noise, second-guessing after you act. Post-action rumination is the hangover of clean effort. Cure it with the done stamp. When you complete a smallest clear move, press your thumb and forefinger together for 1 second and say, stamped. That tactile cue tells your brain the loop is closed. If new info appears, you open a new loop. You don't reopen the old one. People who stamp their doneness reduce cognitive drag and conserve energy for the next clear act. Notice light on the nearest surface. Trace its edge. Let your breath widen into your back like a sail catching a more generous wind. Ask yourself, where is the faucet right now? Adjust it. You just moved from concept to embodied choice. That is the difference between reading and rewiring. Here's an evening practice to make clarity stick overnight. The 3 doors ritual. Door 1 is retain. What signal from today is worth carrying into tomorrow? Door 2 is release. What noise can be set down? Door 3 is ready. What is the single smallest clear move for the morning? You speak each door aloud while you stand at a literal doorway, hand on the frame, because bodies remember places. Retain could be the stream block worked for writing. Release could be the tiny mistake in the call is done, stamped. Ready could be open doc at 9:05 and type the first sentence. When you close the door, your nervous system gets a physical session end. Sleep arrives cleaner when the mind is not busy tying knots. One more story, short and exact. A college student, Hannah, swam in noise every finals week. She tried white-knuckle willpower and crashed each time. This semester she wrote faucet on a sticky note and kept her timer at 90 seconds. Between study blocks she went off and looked out at the crooked branch outside the library. When panic arrived, she weathered, then moved. She ended up doing less in a given hour but more in a given day. Her grades improved. More importantly, she stopped narrating herself as the kind of person who was always behind. She became the person who sets the valve and keeps a promise to the next 60 seconds. Feel your feet again, press down and release. Feel that small swell of calm rise from your calves to your ribs. That feeling is not an accident. It's feedback from a system you are learning to steer. You are the awareness that notices weather and chooses a setting. You are not the storm. You are not the faucet's handle slipping on its own. You turn it. You decide the flow. You return again and again until return becomes identity. To close this session, pick one thing in your near future, a call, a conversation, a 30-minute block. Set your faucet now. Name it out loud. Tag and turn with 2 light taps. If emotion surges, run the 90 seconds like a practiced swimmer. If thoughts loop, cut the thread with I'm having the thought that, and keep your stream intact. When you finish, stamp it done. Walk to a doorway and choose retain, release, ready. Then breathe 1-4-4-6 cycle and notice the precise place in your chest where clarity sits like a warm coin. That coin is proof. Proof becomes trust. Trust becomes a way of moving that others will recognize even if they never learn the names of your methods. Clean is not a mood. Clean is a stance. Today you'll clean the talk track inside your head, the quiet narrator that colors every task before it begins. You can set valves and ride weather, but if your inner language keeps dripping static into the mix, clarity decays by noon. This isn't about positive thinking. It's about accurate thinking that keeps your action channel open. You'll learn 2 frameworks, the 3-angle reframe and the window widen protocol. The first gives you 3 believable ways to view any moment. The second expands your choices when you feel cornered by a single bad option. Together, they turn self-talk from a heckler into a coach and give your prefrontal cortex the room it needs to sequence steps with dignity. Start by noticing the body that carries your thoughts. Feel the subtle weight of your skull resting on your spine, the way the chair supports your sit bones, the temperature of air grazing the inside of your nostrils. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6. You're priming the vagus nerve again so your brain believes it's safe enough to rewire. Safety isn't a mood, it's a signal. Signals teach behavior. Behavior becomes identity. This is how clean becomes who you are. The 3-angle reframe has 3 simple lenses. Positive plausible, neutral factual, and protective negative. Positive plausible asks, what good outcome is believable here? Neutral factual asks, what do I know without story? Protective negative asks, if there is a risk, what's the smallest wise precaution? You cycle through these angles in that order, not to sugarcoat reality, but to build range. Range is resilience. When your mind can hold three angles, the amygdala stops, insisting on only the loudest one. A scene from a coworking space with potted plants and two bright kettles. Nor has to pitch an idea to her team after a mistake last sprint. Her first thought is, they'll think I'm incompetent. She runs the three-angle reframe on a sticky note. Positive plausible, owning the fix could increase trust. Neutral factual, we shipped late once, I have a plan with 3 steps. Protective negative, questions may be sharp, prepare a 1-sentence accountability line. She breathes 4-4-6, sets her faucet to stream and walks in. The pitch lands not because she turned into a motivational poster, but because she entered with multiple angles in her head and could flex. The team adopted her plan. Later, her manager said, "You sounded clear. Clear is contagious." Touch 2 fingers together and notice the ridges of your fingerprints. Let your shoulders fall a few millimeters. Your jaw doesn't need to lock for your mind to be serious. Ask yourself right now, what story am I feeding this hour? Then run the 3 angles quickly. Write a single sentence for each. The act of writing forces your RAS to encode a new set of targets. You don't have to believe the positive plausible deeply. You only need it to be plausible. Plausibility gets the door open. Action walks you through. Now the window widen protocol. When you feel boxed in, the brain often presents you with a false binary. Do the perfect thing or fail. Window widen works in 4 steps. Name the box. Add 2 options. Pick the smallest wise action and time cap it. Name the box means you say, the box is, I must respond perfectly or I'll look weak. Adding 2 options can be as humble as respond briefly now, follow up tomorrow, or ask 1 clarifying question, decline the rest. Pick the smallest wise action that honors your values without feeding panic. Then give it a timer, 1 to 5 minutes, to prevent rumination from moving back in. A hallway story. After a team stand-up, Archero gets an email from a senior stakeholder, need a full analysis by EOD. His stomach flips cold. He almost types on it, knowing it means cutting corners and losing sleep. He catches himself and whispers, name the box, do it all or disappoint. He adds 2 options, deliver a focused slice now plus a plan, and ask which 3 metrics matter most. Smallest wise action. Draft a 3-line reply asking for priorities. Offer a 2-hour slice by mid-afternoon. Time cap, 3 minutes to write, then stream for 30 on the slice. He sends the message. The stakeholder responds, top 3 are enough, thanks for being clear. Window widened, goodwill earned, evening preserved. Check the backs of your knees. Notice the quiet warmth there. Feel the micro shift in your ribs when you sigh. Let your gaze land on a still object, maybe the edge of your mug, and soften your eyes around it. You're practicing body literacy because body literacy is your early warning system. The earlier you sense constriction, the earlier you can widen the window instead of smashing into it. You'll pair these frameworks with a micro drill called language sanitizer. Words carry static. Certain phrases flood the line with fear, always, never, ruined, can't. Sanitizer replaces them with precise language that lowers the noise floor. Always becomes often, never becomes rarely, ruined becomes complicated, can't becomes won't yet. This is not euphemism, it's engineering signal. When you change the words, Your nervous system receives a calmer forecast and keeps blood where you need it, in the executive functions that plan and choose. Sasha, a product lead, hit a rough deployment. Her first draft message to the team started, "We totally blew it, this always happens to us." She ran language sanitizer. "We totally blew it" became "We missed 2 cases in testing." Always became "Has happened twice this quarter." She added the 3-angle reframe, positive, plausible. "We can turn this into a better test suite by Friday." Neutral, factual, 2 cases missed, patch rolling back now. Protective, negative, I'll add a manual check for the next 2 releases. The team breathed, they moved, they repaired. The narrative didn't whip them, it guided them. Place a palm on your sternum and feel the light pressure. Inhale 4, hold 4, exhale 6. Ask, "What's my neutral factual right now?" Say it out loud in a flat tone. Then add the smallest positive, plausible, that doesn't make you roll your eyes. If you're rolling your eyes, you went too far. Honesty is the adhesive. Keep it and your mind will stick to the new groove. You'll sometimes meet a voice that says, "If I don't scare myself, I won't move." That voice is trying to borrow panic as fuel. Panic burns hot and leaves ash. Clean mindset burns steady. Try the fuel swap drill, write the scare sentence, then rewrite it as a values sentence. "If I mess this up, I'm done" becomes "I value thoroughness. I will check the top 2 failure points." You keep urgency, you ditch catastrophe. The nervous system receives a direction instead of a threat. There's a quieter practice that upgrades identity from the inside, the observer line. Imagine a thin silver line between you and your thoughts. When a harsh story arrives, you say, "On this side of the line is awareness, on that side is a thought passing through." You don't argue, you note. Then you take one smallest clear move. This is metacognition you can do while waiting for a kettle. Over weeks, the line thickens into a habit. You become the person who hears the narrator and chooses the next sentence. Pause and notice 3 sounds, 1 near, 1 mid, 1 far. Maybe your breath, a laptop fan, a distant door. Stack them. Your ear is a ladder. Climb down it into the present. In the present, self-talk loses its megaphone because your senses are speaking. The goal isn't silence, it's leadership. You are the director calling action to the parts of you that know how to move. Let's fold in the clean calendar cut, a small method for removing hidden static from your schedule. Static hides in vague blocks labeled work on project or in back-to-back meetings without transition. The cut asks you to rename one block with a verb and a concrete noun, draft section B intro, email Chen for numbers, sketch wireframe state. Then you insert a 2-minute off buffer between meetings for a 4-4-6 breath and a window widen check. This trivial act defrags your day. You give your RAS crisp targets and your emotion system time to metabolize between contexts. A story in a grey-walled office with a crooked plant. Mina kept missing her afternoon writing block because it read Q3 narrative. Her brain resisted the fog. She applied the cut, write 200 words of Q3 risks, then later add 2 examples to risks. She set Faucet to stream for 20. She stamped done after each microblock. Her output jumped not because she became smarter overnight, but because she stopped asking her brain to enter a room with no furniture. Clarity is furniture. Once you set a chair down, your mind knows where to sit. Notice your fingers. Are they cold or warm? Rub your thumb across the pad of your index finger and feel the slight squeak of skin. Let your exhale lengthen by 1 count. When the body calms, language softens. When language softens, options multiply. When options multiply, action clarifies. This cascade is why we practice in the body even when the topic is self-talk. Your body is the fast path to the switchboard. Now integrate the frameworks in a live drill. Think of a real tension you're carrying. Breathe 4-4-6 once. Run the 3-angle reframe on a scratch space, 1 sentence each for positive, plausible, neutral, factual, protective, negative. Apply language sanitizer to any spiky words. Name the box that's trapping you, add 2 options, pick the smallest wise action, give it a 3-minute time cap. Set your faucet to stream. Begin right now for 60 seconds. As you move, listen for the inner narration. If it spikes, draw the observer line and say, "Thought on the other side, I'm here." Finish your minute. Stamp it done with a thumb and forefinger press. Feel the micro warmth of completion under your ribs like a candle cupped against wind. There's a story from a relationship kitchen table under morning light. Erin and Cole had fallen into a loop where weekend plans became a tug-of-war. Erin's self-talk was, "If I don't push, my needs vanish." Cole's was, "If we plan, I lose all rest." They drew the 2-window pane from yesterday on a notepad, left pane facts, right pane meanings. Then they ran the 3-angle reframe out loud. Positive, plausible. If we pick one anchor event and leave one gap, we both win. Neutral, factual. We have 4 hours Saturday afternoon and 3 Sunday morning. Protective, negative. If we overbook, we bail on one thing guilt-free. Window, widen. Name the box. Do everything or nothing. Add options. Anchor plus gap. Trade hours. They chose the smallest wise action. Pick one hike and protect 2 free hours. The fight faded not because love suddenly changed, but because language stopped inflaming threat. They practiced being a team with the nervous system in mind. Some afternoons your mind will still sting with unkind lines. When that happens, use the mirror phrase. You picture someone you respect, future you works fine, speaking to you with firm kindness. Hear them say, "Do the next clear minute." Repeat it softly. Then do the next clear minute. Mirror phrase bypasses your inner critic by borrowing a voice your nervous system already trusts. You're not faking authority, you're remembering it. Feel the space behind your eyes. Imagine it cool and blue for just a breath. Sense your feet pressing into the floor. If you can, let a tiny smile touch the corners of your mouth, just enough to send the safe signal. Micro-expressions feed back into state. You're quietly hacking your own dashboard. A quick micro-practice to close the loop on rumination. The park and return card. Keep a small card or note on your desk where you jot a ruminating topic with a time to revisit. Return to budget worry at 4:30. The act of promising a return calms the amygdala's fear of forgetting. At 4:30, you give it 5 minutes of structured attention with the 3-angle reframe. If nothing changes, you schedule a concrete next step or you stamp it done for the day. Either way, you trained your brain that worry isn't the only way to remember. A student scene under fluorescent library light. Theo believed, "I can't write under pressure." During midterms, he tried a rewrite. "I won't write well yet without scaffolding." He used window widen. The box was perfect draft or failure. Options: write ugly paragraph, dictate bullets, borrow a structure from last week. Smallest wise action, dictate bullets for 3 minutes. Time cap set. He stamped done, then translated bullets into 2 sentences. The label on his identity shifted a degree. Not a non-writer, but a builder who lays scaffolds fast. Let your breath soften. Hear the subtle buzz of electricity in your space. Trace one line of light with your gaze, as if following a thread across your wall. You are not chasing a spiritual high, you are building a clean room where your mind works with you. The language you use in that room decides whether you fog the windows or clear them. Before we end, install the identity echo. Each time you use these tools, finish with one sentence that describes the kind of person you are becoming, framed now. I am a person who widens the window before I decide. I am a person who speaks in precise, kind language under stress. Whisper it. Feel how your shoulders adjust around the sentence, as if finding a better fit in a jacket. Identity isn't a poster on a wall. It's a sentence you can back with action in the next 60 seconds. One last practice live. Bring to mind a current friction. Breathe 4-4-6. Run the 3-angle reframe. Sanitize any loaded words. Name the box and add 2 options. Pick the smallest wise action and cap it at 3 minutes. Set stream. Begin for 60 seconds. While you move, notice the sensation at the bridge of your nose, the weight of your tongue, the contact of your back with the chair. If a harsh thought appears, step behind the observer line and nod at it from your side. Finish the minute. Stamp done. Say your identity echo. Feel the temperature of the room, even if it's barely there. That temperature exists, and so does your agency. You are the awareness, not the emotion. You are the engineer, not the echo. You are renovating the narrator so your actions can walk on clean floors. You've cleaned your mind and your language. Now you'll clean the edges of your life, the gates where noise gets in. Most overwhelm isn't born inside you, it leaks through unguarded seams. Boundaries are not walls, they are beacons. They don't say stay out, they say enter clearly. Today you'll install 2 frameworks, the boundary beacon and the momentum microchain. The first tells people and platforms how to meet you without static. The second transforms tiny starts into quiet, compounding motion. Together, they turn your days from porous to intentional and give your nervous system a predictable rhythm it can trust. Begin with your body, because your body teaches the boundary before your calendar does. Feel where you end and the chair begins. Track the pressure under your sit bones, the rectangle of warmth where your thighs meet the seat, the slight coolness on your forearms. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6. On the exhale, imagine a thin ring of light around you at arm's length. It's not a fence, it's a glow. Inside the glow, signal. Outside, everything can wait until invited. Your vagus nerve reads this visualization as a safety perimeter. Safety grants you choice. Choice creates a clean boundary. The boundary beacon has 3 parts: declare, display, and defend kindly. Declare is the sentence you promise yourself. Display is the visible cue others can read without mind reading. Defend kindly is the scripted line you'll use when the cue is ignored. You'll apply the beacon to your calendar, your door, your phone, and your relationships. You're not becoming rigid, you're becoming readable. Readable people reduce friction for everyone. A story from a glass-walled office that always smelled faintly of printed toner. Keisha led a small analytics team. Her door was always open, which meant her brain was forever half-closed. She wrote a boundary declaration. I protect 2 stream blocks daily for thinking. I'm available in set windows. She displayed it by adding a shared status in her chat tool. Deep work 10-00-12-00, ask window 2-00300, and by placing a small, polite desk sign that read, heads down back at 12. For defend kindly, she practiced 1 sentence. I want to give you a proper brain, can I catch you at 2? The first week felt awkward. By week 2, interruptions plummeted, throughput rose, and the team began copying her beacon. She didn't become distant, she became clear. People trusted her more because they could predict her. Scan your jaw and let it unhook. Notice your breath slide along the back of your throat. Let your gaze rest on a single corner of your screen and soften the muscles around your eyes. These micro-cues escort you into presence, and presence is the fuel for boundary enforcement that doesn't turn brittle. When your biology is calm, your no arrives as stewardship, not aggression. Apply the beacon to your phone in 1 minute. Declare, My phone serves my plan, I don't serve its pings. Display, move non-essential apps to a second page, put a single target widget, a calendar or task on page 1, turn on a focus mode named Signal. Defend kindly, create an auto-reply for messaging during stream blocks. Heads down, I'll reply at 2. This isn't tech theater. It's RAS training. Each time your eyes land on the single target, your system learns what matters. Each time a ping hits a focus filter, your amygdala learns that not every sound is a tiger. Now the momentum microchain. Momentum loves sequence. It hates ceremony. The microchain is 4 links long: anchor cue, 1 minute start, tether, and gentle snap. Anchor cue is a daily event that already happens: making coffee, opening your laptop, locking your door when you return. 1 minute start is exactly 60 seconds of your most avoided or most important behavior. Tether is the sentence that binds the minute to your identity. I am a person who. A gentle snap is the tiny physical gesture you do when the minute ends: a finger snap, a knuckle tap. That tells your brain the loop is closed and ready to repeat tomorrow. 1 minute seems laughable. That's why it works. Your resistance unit can't justify blocking a single minute, so you slip past its guard and build a pattern. Pattern becomes path. In a dim living room with a soft rug, Dev tried to rebuild his fitness after a long lull. Every plan felt huge and brittle. He installed the microchain. Anchor cue, finish his morning coffee. 1 minute start, 10 slow air squats with a 4-4-6 breath rhythm. Tether, I'm a person who warms his body before he warms his inbox. Gentle snap, 2 fingertip taps on the table. Day 1 was nothing dramatic. Day 3, he added a 20-second plank. Day 12, he walked around the block after the squats. Dev never promised a marathon. He promised 1 minute. His mind learned to trust him again, and trust scaled to 20. Weight returned to his legs, light returned to his face. Momentum didn't roar, it hummed, and the hum carried him. Check the temperature at your temples. Sense the weight of your tongue in your mouth. Feel the subtle thud of your heartbeat in your chest, as if from the inside. You're tuning interoception again, because momentum fails when you ignore the early signals of fatigue or spike. With a clean boundary and a microchain, you can meet those signals without shame and without quitting. Pair the beacon with a small method called the 2-sentence gate. It prevents you from writing essays when one clear gate will do. When someone asks for a minute, you say, I'm heads down until time. If it can wait, I'll give it proper attention then. If it's truly urgent, tell me the one decision you need. 2 sentences, delivered kindly, train culture. You're not refusing help, you're refusing vagueness. Vague requests invite static. Clear gates invite clear asks. In a coworking room with a wheezing air conditioner, Omar ran a startup with 3 interns and infinite chaos. Every knock pulled him out of sequencing. He wrote his beacon and pinned the gate above his monitor. The first day he used it 5 times. The 5th time, an intern reframed their request into, we need yes/no on the vendor shortlist. 30 seconds later, it was done. Omar didn't become a gatekeeper, he became a conductor. Your clean mindset needs one more structural upgrade, the friction melt. It's a micro tool that removes 5% of resistance from anything sticky. Ask, what would reduce friction by 5%? Then do only that prep. Lay out the document with headings before content. Put the running shoes by the door with socks inside. Open the budget file to the exact tab. 5% is small enough to do now and big enough to change tomorrow's inertia. Your nervous system loves when tomorrow feels easier, because today took care of it. Breathe in and feel coolness along the entrance of your nose. Exhale and feel warmth brush your upper lip. Tip your chin slightly down to lengthen the back of your neck. your spine stacks like coins. With the body aligned, your boundaries land softer. Kind firmness requires a steady vessel. Consider relationships, the most delicate place for boundaries. Use the beacon with warmth. Declare, I want to give you my full attention, so I protect a few quiet blocks each evening. Display, place the phone in a bowl by the door during dinner. A lit candle on the table becomes the symbol for we're here. Defend kindly, I'll read that after dinner, I want to hear you. Symbols matter. The candle isn't romance. It's a ritual that tells your shared nervous systems, this is a clean room. Clean rooms foster honest talk and easier laughter, because there's no digital wind blowing the napkins off the table. A story in a narrow kitchen. Tessa and Jules had drifted into parallel scrolling every night. They felt close but not connected. Tessa proposed a 15-minute candle window. Beacon declared, displayed, defended kindly. The first nights were bumpy. Phantom buzzes ghosted their thighs. By week 2, they found themselves telling stories again, small ones, about a co-worker's odd hat or a memory of a high school bus ride. Nothing profound. But beneath their voices, the static thinned, and with it, unnecessary irritation. They discovered that connection is a boundary, a container where attention stays. Digital noise deserves a surgical cut. Install the inbox bridge. It's a rule and a ritual. Rule, inbox twice, not all day. Ritual, before opening messages, write a 2-line intention, what you're in there to do, and set the faucet to trickle. The bridge exists because message rivers carry other people's priorities. You cross once in the morning, once in the afternoon, and you don't build a house on the riverbank. If a surge of anxiety hits while reading, run the 90-second weather rule before you reply. The distance you add is the clarity you keep. Notice the weight of your wrists against the desk. Let your shoulders float away from your ears as if air balloons were tied to your clavicles. Hear one far sound and one near sound. Presence is your universal beacon. When you inhabit your body, you broadcast, arrived, without saying a word. People respond to that signal even if they can't name it. Now integrate everything you've built. A live drill for the next 10 minutes of your life. Breathe 4-4-6. Name your boundary beacon for this block. Declare it out loud. Display it with a status, a sign, a focus mode. Prepare your defend kindly line, short, warm, ready. Perform a friction melt of 5% for the task. Set your faucet to stream. Start your momentum microchain with an anchor cue, maybe a sip of water, and a 1-minute start to break the surface tension. Tether it, I'm a person who protects a clean lane for the next 60 seconds. Snap or tap at the end of the minute, then continue if you like. If emotion spikes, run the weather rule. If a thought loops, cut the thread. If a request barges in, use the 2-sentence gate. When you finish, stamp it done and give yourself off for 2 breaths. You just moved like a person with edges that serve everyone, including you. A workplace anecdote with harsh fluorescent light and the smell of microwaved leftovers. Rena, an engineer, had a calendar that looked like shattered glass, 30-minute shards with no buffers. She installed beacons, 2 deep blocks, 1 ask window. She trained her team with the gate. She used a microchain to enter code even on days when her mind felt foggy. At first, colleagues joked. Then they saw her deliver consistently and calmly. A manager asked for her time management strategy. She smiled and said, edges. She didn't evangelize, she modeled. Promotion followed not because she worked more hours, but because she worked in a signal-rich, noise-light way that lifted the team's blood pressure down by a notch. Sometimes defending a boundary will stir guilt. Guilt signals a value conflict, not wrongdoing. Use the guilt translator. This guilt means I value responsiveness. I am choosing sustainable responsiveness. Breathe once. Speak your defend kindly line. Then do a smallest clear move for the person later on your terms. You're not withdrawing love, you're withdrawing chaos. Chaos is not love. Feel the skin along your cheekbones relax. Sense the air on the back of your neck. Bring to mind a doorframe in your life. See yourself standing there tonight performing the 3 doors ritual: retain, release, ready. Add a 4th silent word: respect. Respect the boundary you kept today, even if it was clumsy. Clumsy boundaries are still boundaries. Your biology doesn't need perfect lines, it needs consistent signals. Consistency is the song your nervous system relaxes to. An academic hallway scene. Palmer, a graduate student, felt colonized by lab culture. Ping always. Answer now. Weekends are optional but expected. Palmer wrote a beacon and rehearsed the defend kindly line. I want to be reliable long term. I'm offline after 6, but I'll deliver by 10 tomorrow. The first time he said it, his chest trembled. He breathed 446, stood under the 90-second rain, and then followed through. The sky didn't fall. His advisor adjusted. Palmer's work quality rose because his brain finally got to rest. He didn't topple a system. He taught his local world how to meet him clearly. As you close this session, notice the exact place in your body where clear edge lives, maybe a band across your mid-back, maybe a warm coin under your sternum. Touch that place lightly. Whisper, edges help me love better. That sentence is not sentiment, it is strategy. Without edges, your attention frays and your kindness comes out thin. With edges, your attention concentrates and your kindness arrives intact. You are not the static. You are the engineer who places beacons and builds chains so signal can travel without distortion. Once more, breathe in for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6. Declare one boundary beacon you will carry into the next hour. Display it with one visible cue. Prepare your defend kindly line. Pick one anchor cue and attach a 1-minute start. Tap to snap the loop closed when you finish. Feel how your shoulders arrange themselves around these decisions, as if the body recognizes the architecture. It does, it always has. You are the awareness, not the emotion. You are the engineer, not the echo. You are the person with edges that make your world easier to read. Clean isn't only about thoughts and words, it's about voltage. You can have pristine plans and gentle boundaries, but if your nervous system is undercharged or jagged, noise sneaks back in through biology. This isn't a biohacker lecture, it's a humane tune-up. Today you'll learn 2 frameworks to stabilize your energy so clarity has a floor: the 4-switch reset and the charge ledger. The 4-switch reset flips what most people neglect: light, breath, water, movement. In a compact 2-minute loop you can run anytime fog rolls in. The charge ledger shows you where your mental currency leaks and where it compounds, so you stop overdrafting your focus by lunchtime. When physiology steadies, decisions don't need heroics. Clean becomes predictable. Start by noticing the electricity you're running on right now. Scan from forehead to jaw. Is your brow knitted or smooth? Feel the weight of your tongue. Let it rest low. Sense the skin along your ribs expand on the inhale. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6. Again, that longer exhale nudges your vagus nerve toward "we're safe enough," which returns blood to the prefrontal cortex, the seat of sequencing and restraint. You're not chasing calm for calm's sake. You're setting the operating conditions where your tools work with half the effort. The 4-switch reset is simple enough to do between sentences. Switch 1 is light. Give your eyes honest light, preferably daylight through a window, or if it's night, a bright overhead for 60 seconds. Light tells your suprachiasmatic nucleus what time it is. Time context reduces noise. Switch 2 is breath, 1-4-4-6 cycle to drop your heart rate a notch. Switch 3 is water, 3 slow sips to cue resource present. Dehydration is sneaky static. A glass is a quick filter. Switch 4 is move, 10 seconds of whole body movement, stand, roll shoulders, stretch calves. You just told your ancient wiring, we're not trapped. 2 minutes, 4 switches, a cleaner lane. It's not optimization, it's basic hygiene for cognition. You'll test it now. Look toward the brightest area in your room, not to stare, just to let your eyes drink light. Breathe 4, hold 4, exhale 6. Take 3 measured sips. Stand and reach your arms up, then let them fall with a soft exhale. Notice the sudden clarity, as if someone wiped a smudge off your inner lens. That feeling is not imaginary. Your RAS recalibrates when your senses get fresh data. You're training your brain to expect clarity after small rituals, not after massive willpower. A morning story in a kitchen with a humming fridge and cool tile under bare feet. Neve used to open her phone before her eyes had adjusted to day. Noise flooded first, headlines, emails, pings. The rest of the morning was triage. She tried the 4-switch reset before touching her screen. She stood by the window and let light hit both eyes while the kettle hissed. She breathed 4-4-6. She drank a full glass while the cup warmed her palms. She did 10 slow calf raises, feeling the stretch arc into her Achilles. Then she set her Focus Faucet to stream and opened her laptop. The day didn't become a montage, it became tractable. She didn't feel behind by 9:15. That alone reduced the static she used to add with guilt. Place your palm on your sternum and feel a soft warmth under your hand. Let your exhale lengthen a count. Imagine a dimmer switch just below your collarbones. As you breathe out, dial brightness from frantic glare to steady lamp. When you stabilize the lamp, your inner narrator stops squinting. This is why energy work belongs in the same room as boundaries and reframes. Physiology supports psychology. Psychology directs physiology. You are not a brain in a jar, you are a whole ecology. Now the charge ledger. Think of your day as accounts you either deposit into or withdraw from. You have 3 primary accounts: focus, social, and decision. Focus pays for deep work. Social pays for connection and collaboration. Decision pays for choosing among options, not just big choices, but micro pivots all day. Each account has interest rates. Early focus deposits compound. Late decision withdrawals are expensive. Your job isn't to maximize any single account. It's to balance them so none overdrafts into panic. The ledger has 3 moves: morning deposits, midday balance, evening reconcile. Morning deposits means you put something in each account before noon. For focus, a stream block of even 15 minutes on the work that matters. For social, a clean, brief connection that isn't performative, a 2-line check-in with someone you care about. For decision, a small choice done fully: pick lunch now, pick your route now. When your brain senses abundance in each domain, it stops rattling the bars later. Midday balance is a quick audit at lunch. Ask, which account is low? If social is low, schedule a 5-minute connection walk. If focus is low, protect a 20-minute stream right after you eat. If decision is low, run the window widen protocol on the choice you keep delaying and decide the smallest piece. Evening reconcile is writing down 2 deposits you made, even if small, and 1 withdrawal you'll prevent tomorrow with a friction melt. The ledger turns vague fatigue into numbers your nervous system understands. You'll run a microledger now. Close your eyes or lower your gaze. What did you deposit into focus today? If nothing, choose a 15-minute stream and name the smallest clear move. What about social? Send a sincere 2-line voice note after this session. Decision: pick one trivial choice that's been nicking you, what shoes tomorrow, which tab to archive, and decide it fully. Feel your chest loosen a fraction as the brain stops spinning microwheels. That loosening is clarity's breath. Check the air on your cheeks. Sense the weight of your feet on the floor. Notice the stretch across the tops of your shoulders when you gently roll them back. Sensory snapshots like these are not decoration, they are save points. Each time you mark one, your body learns what clarity feels like, and the path back becomes shorter. Here's a companion technique called the 2-point power plug. When you enter a work block or conversation, plug 2 points before you begin: posture and gaze. Posture: let your pelvis tilt so your spine stacks, not rigid, just stacked. Your ribcage floats like a buoy. Gaze: pick a stable visual anchor just below eye level. Those 2 points tell your system we're settled and centered, which steadies microsaccades and reduces cognitive jitter. Less jitter, less noise. You can do this on a video call or at a cafe table without anyone noticing. It's sneaky stability. A workplace scene with recycled air and the faint buzz of fluorescent lights. Jorge led a daily stand-up that always drifted into a swirl of side topics. He started plugging posture and gaze before speaking. He chose the camera lens as anchor, let his spine stack, softened his jaw, and took 1-4-4-6 breath. He then said, "In 1 minute, I'll ask for blockers." His voice dropped half a register. Meetings became shorter. He didn't dominate, he steadied the room. People matched his voltage without thinking about it. That's what leaders do. They don't just say focus. They broadcast it through physiology. You might protest that your energy dips are caused by life, not posture. True. The ledger isn't a magic wand for grief or illness or too many responsibilities. It is a fairer map. On hard days, deposits are small, that's fine. A 5-minute walk outside can be a social deposit with yourself and a light deposit for focus. A single relieved decision, "I'm ordering dinner," is a decision deposit that prevents 6 smaller withdrawals later. Working with the grain of your biology is not capitulation, it's craft. Here's a micro drill to stabilize glucose without counting anything: the sequence sandwich. Put movement between carbs. If you're going to have a sweet snack, take a 10-minute walk or do 20 slow air squats first, then eat, then do a short tidy of your desk. When your muscles sip glucose, your brain avoids the roller coaster that masquerades as anxiety. You're not restricting, you're sequencing. Clean thinkers build clean sequences. Place your fingertips at the base of your skull and massage gently for 5 seconds. Feel the warmth spread across the back of your head. Let your shoulders melt down like soft wax. Hear one near sound, your breath, your device fan, and one far sound, traffic, voices, a bird. As you widen your hearing, the storm inside registers as weather outside your window. You are the awareness that notices both. Install the 2-minute sun anchor if you can. Step outside or to a window in the morning and let your eyes find the sky's brightness for 2 minutes. No sunglasses if safe. Pair it with a single sentence: "I begin bright." This primes your circadian system, helps your energy peak where you want it, and softens the afternoon crash that invites noise. At night, reverse it with a dim anchor: lower lights, softer gaze, 1 page of paper planning for tomorrow's morning deposits. You're not aiming for perfection, you're building anchors. Anchors reduce drift. An evening apartment scene with the smell of laundry and a neighbor's muffled music. Aria used to fizzle after dinner, then doomscroll and sleep badly. She added a dim anchor: 1 lamp, phone in the hallway, 3 breaths, and a 2-line plan for morning deposits. She wrote: focus, 15-minute outline, social, text dad, Decision, choose shirt. She slept more easily because her brain stopped holding the night hostage. She didn't change her life, she changed her last 10 minutes. Sometimes the signal drops not from low charge, but from compressed charge, too much, too fast. When adrenaline hums in your limbs, run the 90-second weather rule, then do the ground wire. The ground wire uses proprioception. Press your feet into the floor for 5 seconds, then release for 5, repeat 3 times. Name 3 objects you can see, 2 you can touch, 1 you can smell. This siphons excess charge into something your body can hold. With the hum lowered, your prefrontal cortex can steer again. Taste your saliva for a second, not pleasant, just real. Feel your belly soften as you exhale. Notice the cool tickle at the tip of your nose. These small acts remind the nervous system that you're here, not in an imagined catastrophe. Presence is cheap and priceless. Return to the charge ledger. Set a midday balance alarm called Ledger Check for tomorrow. When it chimes, ask which account is red and add a single deposit. If focus is red, run the 4-switch reset and protect 10 minutes. If social is red, walk to someone's desk or send a sincere note. If decision is red, choose 1 fork and time cap the choice. You're not fixing the whole budget. You're avoiding the overdraft fee that arrives as panic later. A story from a chaotic clinic hallway with beeping monitors and the smell of antiseptic. Layla, a nurse, felt wrung out by noon and brittle by 4. She couldn't change the flood of needs, but she could change her deposits. She installed a light anchor at a window between rounds, a breath deposit at every hand wash, 3 sips of water after each med pass, and a social deposit by sharing 1 kind sentence per hour with a colleague. She used the ground wire in the supply closet when anger surged. The shifts didn't get shorter, her noise did. She described the new feeling not as calm, but as room. Room is what a clean mindset feels like when energy is steady. If guilt whispers that tending to your physiology is selfish, use the guilt translator you learned yesterday. This guilt means I value reliability. I am choosing sustainable reliability. Sustainable people are reliable people. Burnout isn't noble, it's noisy. Let's weave a live routine for the next hour. Start with the 4-switch reset. Eyes to light, breath 4-4-6, 3 sips, 10 seconds of movement. Set your Focus Faucet, stream or burst. Do a quick morning deposit if you haven't. Run the 2-point power plug, stack your spine, soften your gaze. Choose your smallest clear move and cap it at 15 minutes. If your charge dips, run a mini reset. When you finish, stamp it done and mark a ledger deposit in your notes. You just turned energy into clarity. Not by force, but by choreography. As identity shifts, phrases change. You used to say, I can focus when I feel like it. Now you say, I build conditions and then I focus. You used to say, I'm bad in the afternoon. Now you say, afternoons need deposits. Your biology listens to how you name it. Name it like a caretaker, not a critic. One more micro practice, the breath to beat sync. Place 2 fingers gently on your radial pulse. Inhale for 4 beats of your pulse, hold for 4, exhale for 6. This syncs the abstract count to your body's metronome and steadies your tempo before a call, a test, or a conversation. Musicians tune before they perform. You are a performer of decisions. Tune. Feel the chair hold you. Hear the farthest sound you can perceive. Let your eyes soften so the edges of your vision blur a touch. You are creating a home base your mind will recognize under stress. Home base isn't a place. It's a felt sense you can summon with 4 switches and a ledger. A final story, small and precise. Malik, a junior developer, always crashed at 3:30 and picked fights in code review. He started logging his ledger. He saw that decision withdrawals spiked after he let Slack set his afternoon. He moved his inbox bridge to 2:45, ran a 4-switch reset at 3:10, and scheduled a 10-minute walk with a teammate at 3:20 twice a week. He drank water before review and synced breath to pulse for 30 seconds. The arguments didn't vanish, his reactivity did. He became the colleague people asked for in reviews because he brought steadiness. His skill didn't leap, his charge did. Steady charge reveals skill. Close your eyes or half close them. Whisper, "I steward my voltage." Feel how that sentence rearranges your shoulders, adding quiet width. You are not the static. You are the awareness that tunes the switches and keeps a ledger. You are the engineer of conditions. Agency lives in conditions as much as in choices. To seal today's work, run the 4-switch reset once more. Eyes to light, 4-4-6, 3 sips, 10 seconds of movement. Pick one ledger deposit you'll make in the next hour and name it. Then name one withdrawal you'll prevent with a friction melt. Breathe. Sense the warm coin under your sternum that you've felt before, a signal of readiness. That coin is not luck, it's design. Keep designing, keep returning. Clean is not a mood. Clean is the way you wire the room you live in. You've tuned your voltage and built edges. Now you'll turn clarity into output that actually ships. Clean mindset without completion is a museum of good intentions. Today you'll learn how to choose what to move, how far to move it, and when to stop. 2 frameworks will carry you, the priority prism and the clean commit protocol. The priority prism gives you a repeatable way to pick the next thing without drama. The clean commit protocol turns that choice into a compact promise you can keep even on messy days. Together, they convert attention into finished work, not just attractive effort. Begin by feeling the desk beneath your wrists, the faint grain or smoothness under your skin. Let your jaw loosen, tongue resting low, shoulders melting by a few millimeters. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6. Listen for the softest sound in the room, maybe the fan's hush or the tick of a pipe. Presence is your launch pad. Without it, prioritization becomes anxiety in a tuxedo. With it, prioritization becomes selection, and selection is mercy on your future self. The priority prism has 3 panes that you tilt your tasks through: value, velocity, and vitality. Value asks, what would create disproportionate benefit for the mission I care about? Velocity asks, what will move with least friction right now and create momentum for the next move? Vitality asks, what respects my biology so I don't borrow tomorrow's clarity to pay today's ambition? You're not hunting for the perfect intersection. You're listening for the cleanest click. When at least 2 panes line up, you choose. The prism guards you from glittery distractions disguised as importance and from martyr tasks that drain vitality just to feel noble. A story from a cramped apartment desk with a chipped mug. Ren was behind on 3 fronts: a client proposal, team hiring notes, and a messy apartment that whispered failure every time he walked past the laundry. His old pattern was to flail at all 3. He tried the prism. Value tilted toward the proposal because it unlocked money for his tiny agency. Velocity tilted toward the hiring notes because they were half done. 15 clean minutes could ship them. Vitality tilted toward a 10-minute tidy because his nervous system kept snagging on the mess. He breathed 4-4-6, set the Focus Faucet to stream, and selected in sequence. Quick hiring notes for momentum, then proposal slice for value, then a tidy window to protect vitality. He finished the notes, sent them with a done stamp pinch, carved the proposal section in 30 minutes, and tossed laundry into the machine between paragraphs. The day didn't look cinematic. It looked like a person who knows how to tilt a prism, and pick the next stone to move. Notice the temperature at the bridge of your nose. Feel your back ribs widen on the inhale like small fans opening. Let your gaze soften onto one line on your screen. You are courting accuracy, not intensity. The brain does better work under accurate load. Now the clean commit protocol. A clean commit has 4 parts: clear why, minimum definition of done, time frame, and exit check. Clear why is a single sentence that says why this move matters to your mission or values. Minimum definition of done trims the task to a unit you could stamp complete without apology. Time frame names a realistic container so your effort doesn't sprawl. Exit check is the question you'll answer at the end to prevent post-action rumination. Did I deliver the minimum done I promised? If yes, you stamp and move. If no, you shave it smaller and finish. The protocol collapses decision lag and gives your prefrontal cortex a narrow lane where it thrives. You'll write a clean commit now for something alive in your world. Whisper the clear why. Make it plain, like, this updates the proposal so the client can say yes. Then speak the minimum done. Outline 3 bullets for the benefits section. Pick a time frame, maybe 12 minutes. Set your exit check. Do 3 bullets exist that I could read aloud to a stranger and they'd understand? Breathe once. Begin for 60 seconds. Hear the click of keys, the whisper of your breath at your upper lip, the weight of your forearms resting steady. You are not conjuring motivation. You are executing a compact promise. In an office that smelled faintly of whiteboard markers, may-led product but chronically overshot tasks, everything ballooned. She installed clean commits for her day's first 3 moves. Clear why, minimum done, time frame, exit check. She also used the done stamp pinch to close each loop. Her output didn't spike because she worked more hours. It rose because her starts got smaller and her stamps got faster. Slack noise didn't evaporate, but it lost the power to yank her into endless middle states. She began finishing strings of small dones that stacked into big dones. Teams trust finishers. Her calendar didn't look heroic, it looked clean. Scan the skin along your cheekbones and let it soften. Press your feet into the floor for 5 seconds and release. The ground wire siphons a little charge down so your mind can thread needles instead of swinging sledgehammers. Good work is mostly needles, rarely hammers. Sometimes the prism will tilt in 2 panes and you'll still feel a tug-of-war. That's when you use a micro drill called the one-line brief. You write 1 sentence in the format, "Today, I'm moving X so Y becomes easier." Then you read it out loud slowly. Your reticular activating system hears moving and easier and organizes attention accordingly. The brief tells your biology a story it knows how to obey. Stories move blood. You are steering blood with language. A workplace hallway, hum of lights, a whiff of coffee. Archero from earlier faced a sprawl of stakeholder requests. He wrote, "Today I'm moving the risk section so sign-off becomes easier." He read it once. He felt his breath deepen involuntarily. That tiny involuntary breath is your system consenting. If the sentence makes your chest tighten, the scope is wrong. Make it smaller until breath loosens. Here's where people get trapped. False urgency tries to hijack the prism. When everything blares value through guilt, you drown. Use the right now scope check. Ask, what is the scope that keeps the promise and protects the next hour? Your answer might be 5 lines, 1 screen, or 1 question sent. Scope is kindness. Scope is anti-static. The clean commit protocol bakes scope into your bones so you stop bleeding energy through grandiosity. Feel the coolness of the air as it enters your nose, the warmth as you exhale. Sense your shoulders settle toward gravity. Notice a slight buzzing in your forearms if you were typing, then watch it ease as you pause. These details anchor you to the timeline where your commitments live, minutes, not myth. We'll graft the prism and commit into a rhythm called the precision pulse. It's a short sequence you can run 3 times a day. Choose with the prism, commit cleanly, move for 12 to 20 minutes, stamp done, breathe once, and note a single learning. The note a learning step is tiny and vital. It converts output into feedback for your future self. It can be one line, benefits section lands better when I lead with cost saving. Your nervous system craves evidence of progress. Feed it and motivation becomes quieter because you don't need to whip it. You can reference it. At a long table under skylights, a team ran a work sprint ritual every afternoon and left fried. They replaced it with precision pulses. Each person wrote a one-line brief, selected with the prism, made a clean commit, and moved for 15. Then each shared a single learning aloud. The room's voltage dropped into something workable. Laughter returned because nobody had to act busy for 90 minutes. Busy was replaced by precise. The director said the team suddenly felt older. Older meant steadier. If you're worried that small scopes mean small careers, look again. Most career leaps ride a train of small, stamped cars. Big moments are containers for 1,000 quiet dones. You're not shrinking your ambition. You're shrinking the unit of movement so it can happen today, not after you become a mythical future version of yourself. Check the skin at your temples. If it's tight, massage lightly for 5 seconds. Let your eyes soften toward peripheral vision, then narrow to a single point. Alternate twice. You are teaching your visual system to widen and focus, mirroring the prism and the commit. Your senses are your steering wheel. Use them. Our relationship story where completion matters. Jay and Lena had collected half-finished household projects, a loose cabinet hinge, a closet avalanche, a tax document labyrinth. Saturdays turned into guilt marathons. Jay proposed the priority prism. Value tilted to taxes, velocity tilted to the hinge, vitality tilted to a 15-minute closet slice that would make the bedroom gentler. They made 3 clean commits, each with minimum dones and time frames. Hinge in 8 minutes, stamp. Closet, clear just the top shelf in 15, stamp. Taxes, gather 3 documents and label a folder in 12, stamp. They moved like humans, not heroes. The house didn't transform. The air did. The house sounded quieter because their nervous systems stopped humming threat at every corner. Your inner critic may snarl that minimum done is lazy. That voice misunderstands momentum. Minimum doesn't mean minimal forever. It means the smallest shippable unit that restores trust in motion. Trust multiplies into capacity. Lazy is letting fear and perfectionism run your calendar under the banner of standards while nothing ships. Bring your attention to the feeling of your sit bones on the chair again. Notice the length of your exhale compared to your inhale. Let your breath be slightly longer out than in. Longer exhale is your throttle back to wise pacing. Pace is part of clean. Sprinting every block is just mess in fast shoes. Let's run a live precision pulse now. Pick a cluster of tasks in your head. Tilt the prism. Which one shows value and velocity? Which one respects vitality? Name one. Speak a clean commit. Your why minimum done, time frame, exit check. Set your faucet to stream for the window you named. Begin for 60 seconds. While you move, feel the keys under your fingers, the sound of your breath's whisper, the weight of your heels against the floor. If a surge of urgency tries to widen scope, run the 90-second weather rule in parallel. Let the wave crest, while your hands keep moving on the promised unit. When your minute ends, notice the faint warmth under your sternum, that coin you've learned to find. That is the feeling of integrity returned. In a conference room chilled too far by the AC, Priya, who you met before, led a planning meeting that always exploded into wish lists. She taped a phrase to the whiteboard. What is the smallest proof of progress by Friday at 4? She ran the team through the prism and then clean commits. She asked for exit checks up front. The room groaned, then focused. By Friday, 2 proofs shipped, both humble and real. The larger initiative moved not because the leader demanded urgency, but because she demanded clarity. The team's identity shifted a notch from aspirational to trustworthy. Here's a companion method called the 2 slots and sand. It's a way to protect the signal work while absorbing the inevitable noise. You choose 2 slots in your day, morning and early afternoon, for your highest value clean commits. That's the stone. Then you pour sand, the small necessary tasks, around those stones in shorter trickle blocks. The image is old and true, but here you're adding sensors. If sand begins to crowd the stone slot, you stop and run the window widen protocol to defend scope. You say the box is, say yes to all sand or lose the stone. You add options, pick the smallest wise defense, and keep the stone. This is how your calendar becomes a sculpture rather than a sponge. Feel your throat soften. Sip water if you can. 3 slow sips smooth the edges of your voice and attention. Water is not an accessory, it's a wire for focus. Dehydration raises noise like dust. Sometimes you won't know value because the future is fog. That's when you use the compass question. If this were clearly a yes in 3 months, what small piece would exist today? Your brain leaps forward and back with this question, offering a plausible artifact, a mock-up, a paragraph, a call scheduled. That artifact becomes your minimum done. You don't predict the future, you plant it. An internship scene in a windowless basement office. Hana, our student, joined a research group drowning in scattered data. Nobody knew what would matter. She asked the compass question and chose a minimum done, a 1-page map of data sources with 3 links. She wrote a clean commit for 90 minutes and an exit check. Can a new person find the top 3 sources in 2 clicks? She shipped the page and became the person everyone pinged because she delivered artifacts that made the next move easier. Authority accrues to people who create handles others can grab. Your mind may strain toward the satisfaction of doing 10 things halfway. That is the lure of appearing prolific. Resist by using the quiet count. At noon and at close, count only stamps. If you stamped 3 real dones, you're on track. If you stamped 0, you study where scope swelled or where selection wobbled, and you adjust the prism or the commit. No shame, just engineering. Bring attention to your hands. Rub palms together slowly and feel heat bloom. Place them lightly over your eyes for 1 breath, then release. Vision resets carry quiet to the thinking parts of you. Your tools are small because your nervous system trusts small the fastest. Fast trust is how we change. Another story, this one mid-commute on a rattling train. Malik, the developer, used to scroll away these minutes. He installed a commute prism, value tilted toward reading a single doc that clarified a code path, velocity tilted toward drafting a short message for a teammate, vitality tilted toward closing his eyes and running a breath-to-beat sync. He alternated days. Clean commits made the train part of his progress rather than a waiting room for stress. He arrived steadier and lighter because he didn't start the day with a backlog of wasted pockets. You'll meet days when nothing goes to plan. Meetings expand, family needs flare, your head aches. The clean life doesn't deny this. It responds with the mercy reset. Mercy reset says, run one precision pulse with the smallest possible commit before dinner, even if it's 3 sentences or 1 email or 10 minutes of tidy. Stamp it. Whisper, kept a promise. Identity hardens around kept promises, especially on bad days. That's when you teach your nervous system that worth isn't tied to volume. It's tied to integrity. Notice the subtle cooling on your skin as the air moves. Feel your spine lengthen a half-inch as you inhale and settle back as you exhale. You are the awareness behind today's traffic. You are not the traffic. When you select, commit, and stamp, you proof this sentence to yourself in real time. To close, build tomorrow's first pulse now. Tilt the prism lightly across your morning options. Pick one move that hits value or velocity while protecting vitality. Speak its clear why. Trim it to a minimum done you could finish even with a late start. Give it a realistic time frame. Name your exit check. Write a one-line brief on a sticky note and place it where your eyes land first. Imagine your future self reading it. Feel the slight easing across your chest as they nod. That nod is your new identity echo. I am a person who chooses cleanly and ships small truths. Say it. Feel your shoulders settle around it like a well-fitted jacket. One last breath together, 4 in, 4 hold, 6 out. Place a gentle palm over your sternum. Find the warm coin you've carried through these sessions. That coin is not magic. It is repetition. Repetition writes identity into muscle and mind. You are the engineer who tilts the prism, writes clean commits, and leaves a trail of stamped, useful things. When noise returns, and it will, you have a way through that doesn't require you to become someone else. You return, and in the returning, you become who you said you were. Setbacks are part of the clean life, not a stain on it. You've learned to pick, commit, and ship. Now you'll learn to repair without wrecking your identity when things wobble. Most people waste days over a 10-minute mistake because shame opens the door and invites noise to live in the guest room. Today you'll install 2 tools that make resilience feel mechanical instead of mystical: the error budget and the clear debrief. The error budget lets you pre-approve a humane margin for imperfection, so you stop turning a smudge into a self-story. The clear debrief gives you a 5-step way to transform any miss into forward motion in under 5 minutes. Together, they convert stumbles into clean momentum and keep your nervous system from spiraling every time life bumps your elbow. Start by noticing your body the moment you hear the word mistake. Feel your belly's micro-flinch, your jaw's impulse to lock, the faint heat that creeps into your cheeks. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6. Again, on the exhale, imagine a window unlatching in your chest. Shame thrives in stale air, clarity likes oxygen. You are not here to prove you're flawless. You are here to move honestly. The amygdala loves to treat error like danger. Your breath and attention remind it that error is information, not a tiger. The error budget is simple. For any repeated behavior that matters, writing, code, conversations, workouts, you allocate a tiny, explicit allowance for imperfection per week. 10% late starts for writing. 2 miscommunications you'll repair by day's end. 1 workout swapped for a walk. You say it in advance so your brain doesn't scream catastrophe at the first wobble. Neurobiology note, kept plain: negativity bias overweights threat. Pre-committed tolerance shrinks the amygdala's alarm and keeps blood in the prefrontal cortex where sequencing lives. This isn't permission to slack. It's permission to stay in the game. Budgeted error makes consistency possible, and consistency is the quiet engine of identity. In a sunlit kitchen with the smell of toast, Amara kept breaking her morning writing streak by sleeping past 6. One late day triggered a 3-day shame spiral. She created an error budget. 3 writing blocks out of 5 weekdays counted as a win. 2 late starts per week were pre-approved if she still did a 10-minute stream later. The first Thursday she overslept. Her chest tightened, then she remembered the budget. She ran a 4-4-6 breath, made tea, and wrote for 12 minutes at lunch. She stamped it done. The story, I broke it, was replaced by I spent my budget wisely. Her output doubled in a month, not because she became perfect, but because she became durable. Scan your shoulders and let them melt a few millimeters. Feel the coolness at the tip of your nose on the inhale, the whisper of warmth on your upper lip as you exhale. Bring one hand to your sternum and press gently for a count of 3, like closing a book. That touch tells your interoceptive network you are safe with yourself even when you're not proud. Safety is the soil where learning grows. Now the clear debrief. Capture, label, extract, adjust, renew. Capture means you jot what happened without blame, the facts in 1 or 2 lines. Label means you name the emotion in a short phrase and run 1/92nd weather watch if it's hot. Extract means you pull one lesson you can test next time, no sermons. Adjust means you alter scope, sequence, or support by 5%. Renew means you write a single sentence clean commit that carries you back into motion. The whole debrief lives on a sticky note. It's not therapy, it's a steering wheel you can grab with wet hands. A fluorescent conference room hummed like a beehive. Cade bombed a client demo. Slides froze, his voice climbed an octave, he answered a question with a meandering maze. Old Cade would have replayed it at 2 a.m. New Cade walked to a quiet stairwell and ran clear in 4 minutes. Capture, slides lagged, I answered long, client asked for impact. Label, embarrassed, jittery, 90 seconds under the weather rule. Extract, lead with a 30-second impact summary before slides. Adjust, test deck on their hardware, keep a 3-card queue in pocket. Renew, at 3 p.m., email client a crisp 4-sentence follow-up with the impact summary and Tuesday test invite. He wrote the email, pressed send, and felt his breath drop an inch lower in his ribs. The client replied with relief, not scorn. The demo didn't define him, the debrief did. Taste the faint metallic tang of your mouth for a second. Notice your feet warming the floor through your shoes. Let your eyes rest on a single seam in the wall and soften your gaze around it. These tiny sensory acts keep your nervous system from equating review with danger. When your biology is calm, your debrief is honest. Honest debriefs are short. Short debriefs are repeatable. Repeatable practices become identity. You'll practice clear now on a small miss. Think of the last hour and pick a wobble, a message left hanging, a tab drift, a snappy comment. Capture the facts in 1 line. Label the feeling with 2 words. If it spikes, run 90 seconds of weather, stand under the rain, count your breath, no narrative. Extract 1 lesson, a lever you can actually pull next time, like set stream first, or ask 1 clarifying question. Adjust by 5%. Install a friction melt or a micro beacon. Renew with a single sentence clean commit that starts in the next 15 minutes. Feel your chest lighten a gram as you write. That gram matters. 1 gram per miss adds up to a lighter life. A home scene with the smell of sautéing onions, kids chattering in the background. Lena snapped at her son when he spilled juice on a stack of bills. Her chest burned, shame rushed in. She ran clear at the counter while the onions hissed. Capture, he spilled juice, I raised my voice. Label, guilt, heat in face, 90 seconds. Extract, When money paper is out, I'm too taut. Protect bills in a folder before dinner. Adjust, put a tray on the fridge for paperwork. Start the 4-4-6 before meals. Renew, tonight at 7, apologize in one sentence and ask him to help move the paper tray. She apologized, he helped. They laughed at how serious the tray looked. The mist didn't melt their bond. The repair made it sturdier. Clean mindset is not about avoiding mess. It's about making the floor easy to sweep. Feel the air sliding across your throat, the subtle weight of your hair or hat if you're wearing one, the way your ribs widen at the back like curtains parting. Place your fingertips on your pulse for 3 beats, then release. This is you reminding your blood that you're steering. Steering after a wobble is the difference between amateurs and pros. Pros aren't fearless, they are practiced at returning. The error budget pairs beautifully with the priority prism and clean commit. When you tilt the prism and choose value, velocity, and vitality, you also look at your budget. If you're at 0, you defend scope harder. If you have margin, you take a bolder swing. This turns courage into math your body can trust. The budget also prevents the perfectionist's tax, burning an hour to avoid a 5-minute correction later. You're not negotiating with your worth. You're allocating risk like an adult. A story from a cramped startup where the air smelled like burnt coffee. Zahid owned a migration project. He pre-declared an error budget. 2 rollbacks allowed this week if they came with clear debriefs and a test tweak each time. Monday, rollback 1, clear produced, add a canary deploy and a 30-second smoke test. Wednesday, rollback 2, clear yielded, pause Slack during deploy, announce a 5-minute quiet window. Friday, no rollback. The team's blood pressure lowered, not because nothing went wrong, but because wrong was expected, processed, and diminished. Zahid didn't project bravado, he radiated steadiness. He became the person leadership asked to run risky moves because he engineered safety into the system. Check your jaw, relax the hinge 2 millimeters. Let your tongue rest on the floor of your mouth. Inhale 4, hold 4, exhale 6. Feel a small drop in your heart rate. That drop is your body saying, we can examine without attack. Examination without attack is the essence of a clean debrief. You'll add a micro drill called the 1-minute timeline. It prevents your brain from smearing a moment into a tale. Draw a line across a sticky note. Mark 3 ticks, before, during, after. Write 3 words for each. This reduces narrative inflation and lets your prefrontal cortex see discrete parts where your amygdala saw chaos. Then run clear using the timeline for capture. This moves you from I'm a disaster to during my voice sped up, after I forgot the follow-up. A student story under the blue-white glare of a library. Theo blanked on an exam question and lost 10 minutes to panic. Afterward, he wanted to drop the course. He ran a 1-minute timeline and clear. Before, slept okay, hydrated. During, brain froze, breath shallow, stared at ceiling tiles. After, finished other sections, left 1 blank, ruminated. Extract, practice a 30-second breath-to-beat sync at the first sign of blanking. Adjust, write a placeholder sentence, then move on. Renew, tomorrow, simulate 2 blanks and practice the move on. He didn't become invincible, he became equipped. Close your eyes or lower your gaze and picture the studio you built earlier, the quiet room with high windows. In your mind, add a simple table with a small drawer. That drawer holds your error budgets and clear cards. When noise rises, you enter, breathe, pull the drawer, and choose a tool. The ritualization matters because your brain loves places. Even imagined places provide context. Context turns panic into protocol. Sometimes the miss isn't yours alone. Teams stumble. Use clear as a shared language without using it as a weapon. Let's capture facts in 2 lines. Label the mood so we don't pretend. Extract one lesson each, adjust by 5%, renew with a Friday proof. No witch hunt, no martyrdom, no TED talk, just 5 steps. Paired with the 2-window pane, facts left, meanings right, you give your group a way to keep dignity while telling the truth. Dignity is the lubricant of learning. Feel the backs of your knees, the gentle warmth there. Sense the skin along your forearms prickle as you breathe slower. Hear one nearby sound, keyboard, kettle, and one far. Presence makes repair easier. Shame hates witnesses, even your own senses. The more you can remain embodied while you debrief, the less you'll outsource your self-respect to the next success. Add a companion move called the mercy bookmark. When your debrief reveals a pattern bigger than a 5% tweak, you bookmark it for a deeper look later. You literally write bookmark, boundaries with X, or bookmark, sleep debt, and schedule a 30-minute stream next week to map it. Bookmarks keep debriefs light enough to do now while honoring issues that deserve more than a sticky note. You're not ignoring depth, you're sequencing it. A hallway scene with scuffed linoleum. Matteo had a recurring conflict with a peer who derailed meetings. After a blow-up, he wanted to rewrite his job description or theirs. Clear gave him one extraction, set agenda with speaking order, and one adjustment, ask for a yes to the format at the start. He added a mercy bookmark for power dynamics with Jordan and set a stream for Thursday to plan a conversation. In the next meeting, he opened with, "We'll run in this order. Can I get a quick yes to that?" He got it. The temperature dropped. The deeper talk happened Thursday. Progress didn't come from a revolution. It came from clear, kind mechanics plus a scheduled deeper look. If guilt for budgeting error rises, translate it. This guilt means I value excellence. I am choosing sustainable excellence. Say it, breathe once, touch your sternum for 3 seconds. Your nervous system needs to feel you're on your side when you enforce humane rules. We'll run a live cycle. Bring to mind a small miss from today. Breathe 4-4-6. 1-minute timeline, 3 words for before, during, after. Clear capture in a line, label the feeling, extract one lesson, adjust by 5%, renew with a 1-sentence clean commit that starts within the next hour. Set your faucet to stream or burst, depending on the move. Begin for 60 seconds. Notice the sound of your fingers, the weight of your heels on the floor, the cool patch of air on your cheek. When the minute ends, stamp it done with a thumb and forefinger press. Feel the warm coin at your sternum. That warmth is not glory, it's alignment. A relationship anecdote at a crowded dinner. Erin made a joke that landed wrong. She saw her partner's face dim. Old Erin would have defended herself with a flurry of words. New Erin excused herself to the hallway, ran 90 seconds of weather, then did a 30-second clear on her phone. Capture, joke landed sharp. Label, regret, extract, ask permission before teasing in groups. Adjust, create a signal with partner for pull back. Renew, apologize now, ask for the signal tonight. She returned, apologized briefly, squeezed a hand. The table moved on. Later, they agreed on a tiny hand gesture. That signal became a shared beacon. Repair stacked into intimacy. As identity evolves, your inner narration changes shape here too. You used to say, "If I mess up, I'm the mess." Now you say, "When I mess up, I run clear and return." You used to say, "I can't afford errors." Now you say, "I budget for human variance." You are not lowering standards. You are engineering reliability under reality. Reliability is what your future self trusts when big opportunities knock. Feel your spine lengthen, then settle. Hear the faintest hum in your space. Let your breath slide in like a tide and out like a tide. You are the awareness, not the emotion. You are the engineer, not the echo. Errors aren't sirens, they're doorbells. You decide how to answer. Sometimes you open fully, sometimes you slide the chain and say, "Not now." Either way, you remain the host. To close, set 2 tiny anchors. First, choose one area to assign an error budget for the next 7 days. Say it out loud with a number and a condition for repair. Second, place a stack of small notes or a note on your phone labeled "Clear." Promise yourself you'll debrief within 15 minutes of any wobble you care about. That's it. No manifesto, just a budget and a drawer of cards in your mental studio. The next time noise tries to turn a slip into a slide, you will feel your hand reach for the drawer before panic finishes its sentence. That reach is the proof that identity is shifting from fragile to agile, from brittle to bendable, from performative to practiced. Clean doesn't mean pristine, it means ready to repair. One more 4-4-6 breath. On the exhale, let your shoulders drop as if a coat was sliding from them. Touch the warm coin under your sternum. Whisper, "I return quickly." Feel how that sentence arranges your muscles into quiet competence. You are building a life where momentum survives contact with reality. That is the secret most people never learn because they confuse perfection with integrity. You won't. You'll budget for humanness, debrief with kindness, and keep moving like a person who trusts the road because they trust their steering. You've learned to return quickly after stumbles. Now you'll build the compass that keeps you pointed in the right direction even when the map is foggy. Clean output without true north can still drift into impressive detours. Today you'll install 2 frameworks that anchor action to who you mean to be: the values compass and the integrity loop. The values compass is a fast, 4-point check that turns vague principles into moment-by-moment direction. The integrity loop converts that direction into repeatable micro-proof, so self-trust compounds. Together, they let you move with quiet certainty instead of loud hustle. Begin by feeling the shape of your breath. Cool in at the tip of your nose, warm out over your upper lip. Notice the small rectangle of pressure where your thighs meet the chair. Let your shoulders drop half a thumb's width. You're telling your nervous system that choosing can be calm. Choice is not a courtroom, it's a studio. In studios, we adjust dials until signal lines up with intention. The values compass has 4 letters: VALU, voice, alignment, leverage, unburden. Voice asks, "What would I say if I weren't afraid?" Alignment asks, "Which value am I protecting? Honesty, stewardship, courage, or care?" Leverage asks, "What is the smallest action that expresses that value here?" Unburden asks, "What weight does this action remove from my future self?" You run the compass in under a minute. You don't philosophize, you pick a direction your body can carry. When your amygdala wants to plead for safety through avoidance, the compass gives it a specific, survivable move. Picture a hallway outside a glass meeting room, carpet with a tired pattern. Soren is a mid-level manager asked to massage numbers to make a project look healthier. His stomach tightens like a knot pulled twice. He leans against the cool wall and runs the compass. Voice, "I'd say we need to show the real risk." Alignment, honesty, and stewardship protect the team by naming the truth. Leverage, one sentence in the meeting that sets the frame. Unburden, if he says it, he won't carry a backpack of dread for weeks. He steps back in and says, "Before we look at the slide, I want to name a risk we can still manage. Our forecast assumes a conversion uptick we haven't seen." Silence, then relief from the engineers in the room. The senior lead frowns, then nods. The plan changes by 5%. Soren walks out lighter because his action matched his values instead of his fear. Taste your saliva for a second. Not pleasant, just real. Feel the fabric at your collarbones. Hear a far sound, a door, a car, and then a near sound, your breath. Layering these senses keeps your attention in the room where values can be chosen, not just remembered as posters on a wall. Values are only useful if you can express them under pressure. That's where the integrity loop works. It has 3 moves: name, narrow, nail. You name a value in plain words: care, courage, honesty, craft. You narrow it to a single observable behavior you can do in 60 to 300 seconds. You nail it, perform the behavior, and stamp it done. Then you log 1 sentence: I enacted X by doing Y. This is not moral theater. It's practical identity building. The prefrontal cortex loves small closed loops. Each loop teaches your nervous system that you can be who you say you are today, not someday. An afternoon kitchen with a faint citrus smell from a cleaned counter. Layla has avoided a delicate conversation with her sister for 3 months. The topic feels like a field of rakes. She names the value, care. She narrows it. Send a 2-sentence message asking for a 15-minute call with a compassionate purpose line. She nails it in 2 minutes. Hey, I miss you. Can we talk this week? I want to make sure we're good about the vacation plan. She stamps it. For the first time in weeks, her ribs feel as if a band loosened. That loosening is biochemical proof. Her action matched a value, so her system retired a weight. Check the back of your knees. Notice quiet warmth there. Let your jaw loosen 2 millimeters. Place a palm on your sternum and feel the steadying pressure. Whisper, I move with values, not vibes. Your nervous system listens when you speak in plain, embodied language. Here's the friction. People fear values because they associate them with drama, grand gestures, confrontations, declarations. The compass and loop shrink values to something you can do between meetings without wrecking your day. Courage might mean asking 1 clarifying question when the room bluffs. Honesty might mean writing a factual line in a status update you'd usually sand down. Care might mean choosing to hydrate and sleep before a tough day so you don't spill agitation on a teammate. Craft might mean proofreading once, slowly, with breath. Values are not speeches. They are small, repeated acts that clean your path. In a bright, over-air-conditioned office, Priya, the designer you've met, noticed her work slipping toward trendy but brittle. She named the value craft. She narrowed it. Spend 3 minutes checking contrast ratios before sending comps. She nailed it every morning before review. Her work quality lifted without fanfare. Later, when an accessibility bug was caught by QA instead of by her, she ran a clear debrief and added to the loop. Ask 1 visually impaired colleague to narrate their experience once a month. Craft turned from an aesthetic to a practice. The team began echoing the behavior because signal spreads. Your body carries values faster than your mouth. Try a micro drill called 2-point integrity. First point is posture, stack the spine, soften the jaw. Second point is gaze, land on 1 object and let your eyes rest. Then ask, which value is needed here? Say it softly. The posture and gaze stabilize your autonomic state, so the answer isn't a panic pick. Under steady voltage, your answer shifts from defensive to directive. Notice temperature around your temples. Feel the cool spot of air that hits 1 knuckle more than the others. Hear the micro clicks of your device. Sensory literacy helps you recognize when you drift from values, your body tightens or dulls. When you feel dull or tight, you're usually paying a values tax. The compass cancels the tax with a choice. You'll meet a special kind of noise. Legacy scripts you inherited: don't make waves, be agreeable, win or you're nothing. Legacy scripts are sticky because they were once protective. You update them with a tool called script surgery. Write the old line precisely. Thank it for what it tried to do. Replace it with a values line anchored in present reality. Don't make waves becomes create clarity with kindness. Then immediately run an integrity loop to nail one action that matches the new script. Without action, new scripts stay ink. With action, they become architecture. A family dinner scene under warm bulbs. Omar's parents equate harmony with silence. He wants to tell them he won't attend a cousin's wedding due to cost and schedule. The old script shouts, "Compliance equals love." He thanks it, "You kept me connected when I was small." He writes a new line, "Honesty equals respect." Values compass voice, "I'll say it plainly." Alignment, honesty and care. Leverage call, not text. 3 sentences, offer an alternative visit. Unburden, he stops carrying dread all month. He runs the loop, he calls, breathes 446 once, says, "I love you, I can't make the wedding. Can we plan a weekend in September?" There's a pause, then a sigh, then a negotiation about dates. The sky doesn't shatter. The old script loosens its grip because a new behavior earned a foothold. Bring attention to the shape of your tongue in your mouth. Let it lie flat. Feel your breath widen into your back ribs. See one line of shadow on your desk and trace it with your eyes. You are anchoring the action you just imagined in a body that can carry it. Your calendar can embody values too. Install the value block mark. When you schedule a stream block, prepend a value to its title. Craft, outline section C, care, write note to mentor, courage, ask for feedback. Labeling doesn't turn you into a slogan machine, it primes your RAS. When the block arrives, you're not just doing a task, you're acting a value. Identity sticks faster when behavior is named. A student scene in a library with the quiet hiss of AC. Hana struggles with group work because she hates conflict. She adds value blocks, courage, ask for roles, care, share notes with clarity, honesty, flag a risk early. She runs the integrity loop for 1 block each day. The project smooths, not because her teammates change, but because she stops obeying an old script that said harmony equals silence. Harmony becomes coordination. Her stress falls. Grades rise as a side effect of agency. Sometimes values compete. Honesty bumps into care, courage bumps into stewardship. Use the compass again and ask, which value needs to lead and how can the others ride along? You can say a hard thing kindly. You can protect a team while telling the truth. You're not choosing a single value for life, you're choosing a lead for this moment. That choice can be as small as which sentence you speak first. Feel your pulse at your wrist for 3 beats. Release. Hear a sound outside your room. Smell the air, coffee, dust, nothing. These cues keep you in now where values act. Here's a tiny drill that ties the loop to your self-talk, the mirror ledger. At day's end, write 2 lines starting with, "I was that name enacted values, not accomplishments. I was honest when I told the client we needed a day. I was caring when I listened without fixing." This ledger is insurance against the day's highlight reel bias. When your brain tries to say, "We did nothing," you show it 2 small truths about who you were. Identity grows from these quiet receipts. A cramped startup again, smell of burnt espresso. Zahid, post-migration week, felt like he'd just been sprinting through hail. He started a mirror ledger for 7 nights. I was steady during rollback. I was brave when I asked for the quiet window. By Friday, he noticed a change in his posture, more length through the spine, less hunch. The ledger didn't inflate him. It deflated the lie that he was only as good as the last deploy. He carried values fatigue-resistant. Occasionally, the compass will point you toward not doing something. Unsend the spicy reply. Don't accept the meeting you can't attend. Non-action can be an action rich with value. The integrity loop can nail restraint too. Name restraint. Narrow, wait 5 minutes and run a 90-second weather watch. Nail, stamp, waited, record it. I enacted restraint by not sending. This turns maturity into accountable behavior, and countable behaviors can compound. Notice the coolness along your cheeks. Let your eyes soften, then gently sharpen. Allow your shoulders to float a hair toward your ears and then drop. This is you practicing a physical signal for switching from reactivity to values. Now integrate compass and loop into a live minute. Bring to mind a choice you've been avoiding. Breathe 4-4-6. Voice, say what you'd say if you weren't afraid. Alignment, pick the lead value. Leverage, choose the smallest action that expresses it. Unburden, picture the weight you'll remove. Name the value aloud. Narrow it to 160 to 300 second behavior. Nail it now for 60 seconds. As you move, listen for the old script's whisper. Thank it without obeying it. Stamp when done. Feel the warmth under your sternum, the coin you know, glowing a shade deeper because you acted who you said you were. A relationship scene on a quiet Sunday morning. Erin, who once used the mirror phrase to calm self-talk, has avoided asking her partner for a money conversation. Compass, voice, can we look at our budget for 20 minutes? Alignment, stewardship and care. Leverage, schedule a time and bring 1 page of numbers. Unburden, stop the monthly dread spiral. Loop, name stewardship. Narrow to print last month's expenses and circle 3 questions. Nail in 5 minutes. She sets a time on the fridge whiteboard. The talk that evening isn't perfect, but it's honest and gentle because it rode values instead of fear. Afterwards, she writes in the mirror ledger, I was a steward. Sleep arrives cleaner. If shame pops up, who am I to say this? Translate it with the guilt translator's cousin, the worth whisper. You say, this doubt means I value humility. I will pair humility with action. Then you act. Humility without action is a fog. Humility with action is a clear morning. Return to the studio you've built in your mind. High windows, pale light, the drawer of budgets and cards. Add a small compass on the table, brass and steady. When you sit, you place a finger on it and ask the 4 questions. You don't wait for thunder. You wait for the small click of alignment. Then you stand and take 1 step. No music swells. The step is enough. This is how people change nations and families and teams in real life. 1 value, 1 act, 1 loop repeated. Feel your feet press into the floor for 5 seconds. Release. Hear the far, then the near, then your breath. Say softly, I act my values in minutes. That sentence is a kind promise, not a threat. Your nervous system prefers promises it has seen you keep. You're building that archive now. To close this session, choose 1 value you want to feel in your hands today. Say it. Pick a tiny behavior that enacts it in under 3 minutes. Do it now or set a time in the next hour. Stamp when done. Tonight, write 2 I was lines. If a miss happens, run clear without drama and return to the loop. You are not the static. You are the awareness that listens for north and moves a step at a time. You are the engineer who teaches the room what you stand for through behaviors so small they fit in the quiet spaces between breaths. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6. Feel the coin of warmth under your sternum. It's heavier today, but not in a way that burdens you, it anchors you. That's the weight of alignment settling into bone and habit. Clean isn't being good. Clean is being congruent minute by minute under ordinary light. You can already feel the difference in your chest, like a lens snapping into focus. That click is your compass working. Keep it near. Keep returning to it. And keep proving who you are with the smallest true move. You've aligned your actions with your values. Now you'll learn how to protect the field where your best ideas grow. Clean mindset without a clean environment is like planting seeds in gravel. Today you'll design the conditions that let focus, creativity, and steady output flourish, even when the world hurls glittering distractions at your attention. Two frameworks will hold the work: the attention garden and the distraction immunity protocol. The attention garden teaches you how to prepare, plant, tend, and harvest ideas without overworking the soil. The distraction immunity protocol gives you a way to meet interruptions, digital, social, internal, without losing the thread. Together, they transform your workspace from a bus stop into a studio. Before we move, map your senses so your body agrees to be here. Feel the weight of your forearms on the desk and the faint tack of skin on the surface. Notice the temperature along your cheeks, the cool in at the tip of your nose, the warm out across your upper lip. Let your jaw loosen by 2 quiet millimeters. Let your tongue rest low. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6. The longer exhale signals safety. Safety returns blood to sequencing and inhibits the amygdala's false alarms. You are priming biology because gardens thrive on weather, not wishes. The attention garden has 4 moves: prepare the soil, plant a row, tend the bed, harvest, and rest. Prepare the soil means you shape the environment so the brain's reticular activating system sees fewer weeds. You'll clear the visual field, set a single visual anchor, and perform a 2-minute friction melt that reduces the first step's resistance by 5%. Plant a row means you choose a narrow slice with the priority prism and a clean commit. Then lay down a path of stones, 3 micro steps you can step on without overthinking. Tend the bed means you protect the plot for a defined period with gentle vigilance, adjusting the focus faucet and running the 90-second weather rule when storms pass through. Harvest and rest means you stamp done, extract a single learning, and step away for off mode to avoid nutrient depletion called burnout. Simple words, deep leverage. A cramped spare bedroom with a plywood desk and a plant that leans toward a too small window. Yi has a book to write and a life that makes noise. Their old pattern was to open a document and then open 5 tabs. Yi tries the garden, prepare the soil. They clear the desk until only a mug, a notebook, and the laptop remain. They set a single visual anchor, the window's right-hand frame, and run a 2-minute melt. Title the document and paste a working outline at the top so there is no blank field. Plant a row. Using the prism, they choose value, write the first anecdote. Velocity, describe the scene they know best. Vitality, 30 minutes, not 2 hours. Clean commit, why? This scene introduces the voice. Minimum done, 1 paragraph. Time frame, 20 minutes. Exit check. Could a stranger picture it? Tend the bed, focus faucet to stream. A phone in another room with signal mode on. 90-second weather when anxiety surges at sentence 4. Thread cut looping worries with I'm having the thought that. Harvest and rest. Done stamp pinch. 1 sentence learning. Stronger when I start with the smell in the hallway. Off for 2 minutes looking at light on the wall. Yi repeats the row tomorrow. The book is still huge. The row is small. Small is how fields are planted. On a micro prepare now. Choose the single object your eyes will rest on between sentences, a corner, a mug handle, a plant leaf. Place your palm flat on the desk and feel its temperature. Slide a scrap of paper within reach and write 2 words that describe why you're here, not poetry direction. Inhale 446 once more. This is your soil ritual. Rituals are memory hooks for state. They tell your nervous system, when we do this, we enter the garden. When we enter the garden, we grow. Distraction isn't evil. It's fertilizer spilled across the walkways. The brain's novelty bias offers dopamine for the new and shiny. The distraction immunity protocol meets that bias with mechanics. It has 3 phases: shield, sheath, shift. Shield is a physical and digital perimeter, doors, focus modes, status beacons, the two-sentence gate you learned earlier. Sheath is internal, a one-line thread sheath you wrap around intrusive thoughts so they don't snag the work. I see you thought, meet me at 4:30 on the park and return card. Shift is the rapid return, a three-breath 4-4-6, hands back to the keys, eyes to the anchor, read the last full sentence aloud to slide back into the groove. Immunity doesn't mean nothing enters. It means entry costs a toll and the center stays intact. A co-working floor with glass rooms and whispers of conversations. Nyla is a developer on a feral Slack, pings like hail. At the garden gate, she puts up a shield, signal focus mode on, chat status says, heads down 10:00:12:00, reply at 2:00. She prints a tiny sign, building, and tapes it to the top edge of her monitor. Midway through the block, a thought barges in, what if the ops bug flares again? She wraps it in a sheath, seeing you 4:30 card. She writes ops bug 4:30 on the park and return. A Slack chime leaks through, she runs shift, 3 breaths, eyes to anchor, reads the last line of code aloud under her breath, fingers find the rhythm. She doesn't berate herself for flinching, she praises herself for returning. By noon, the feature tests pass. Her nervous system remembers that she can leave and re-enter the garden without losing the harvest. Pause, feel the fabric at your collarbones. Notice one sound near and one far, then your own exhale. Sensory triads like this are re-entry keys. The brain uses them to recognize the room called here. When here is familiar, distractions feel less like emergencies because your body trusts the place you're standing. Not all interruptions are digital. People are weathered too. That's why you'll install the welcome walkway, a narrow path across the edge of your garden where you can host brief visitors without trampling seedlings. The walkway has a rule, 2 minutes, 2 questions. When someone arrives midstream, you step to the edge physically if you can, swivel the chair, stand by the door, or tilt your body 15 degrees. You ask, what's the decision you need? And when do you need it? If it can wait, you send it to your ask window with kindness. If it can't, you decide the smallest piece and return. Bodies understand edges. Turning your torso slightly tells your nervous system this is a visit, not a relocation. An open office with the smell of reheated curry. Mateo's teammate knocks while he's sketching. Old Mateo would have spun his chair fully and lost 20 minutes. New Mateo slides to the walkway, feet planted, knee angled toward the monitor, torso toward the teammate. 2 questions. Decision needed, approval for a vendor email. When by end of day, he says yes to sending, use the second paragraph from last week's template. 30 seconds. He pivots back to the soil, reads the last sentence aloud, hands return to the keys. The seedling doesn't know a storm passed, it feels steady rain again. Your brain's reticular system loves targets. Give it cleaner ones with a micro-drill called line of sight. Before you start, place one symbolic object in your field that represents the day's value. A paperclip for stewardship, a pencil for craft, a small stone for courage. Glance at it when you feel drift. It's not magic, it's a tag for your RAS. Once tagged, your brain reorders stimuli. You're not fighting distraction, you're recruiting attention. Step into your body, press your feet into the floor for 5 seconds. Release. Sense the slight torque where your ribcage meets your spine when you turn a hair to look at your anchor. That torque is a physical cue you can pair with re-entry. Pairing movement with return creates a conditioned path. The more you traverse it, the faster you come back. Sometimes distraction is masquerading as productivity, a tidy inbox, a beautifully formatted document, a third pass at improving something that was already good enough. You'll meet this with the done or better check. Ask, is this done enough to stamp? If yes, stamp and move. If no, do a clean commit for the minimum gap. Better is a seductive thief. Done feeds tomorrow. A story from a studio lit by one tall window. Priya polishes a landing page for the 5th time. Her chest feels tight, jaw tense. She runs the done or better check. Done enough to test? Yes. She stamps, schedules a test, and opens the next row. The desire to polish was a safety move. The stamp was a value move. Her nervous system learned that she can feel unfinished and still behave finished. That is adult skill. Your garden also needs seasons. Perma-summer burns crops. Install the rest season daily and weekly. Daily, protect an off micro-season after each harvest, 2 minutes of distance and light. Weekly, schedule a Sabbath window, a half day where you do analog motion, a walk, a sweep, a cook, a read on paper. Not a productivity hack, a nervous system reset. Creativity grows in loam, not in concrete. Loam is made of leftovers. When you rest, your brain composts fragments into soil. That's why showers make ideas arrive. The clean mind respects compost time. Feel the temperature behind your eyes, cool and hollow. Let your breath widen into your back ribs like quiet wings. Sense the way your fingers rest on the keys, the slight weight there. You're practicing noticing because noticing is how you water without drowning. You'll now build a distraction playbook, a single sentence for each of your top 3 distractors. For socials, I check at 12:30 for 10 minutes, this is not that. For hunger, snack at 10, water now. For internal dread, 90 seconds of weather, then 1 sentence. You write each on a small card near your monitor. The point is not discipline, the point is automaticity. When the trigger hits, you glance and obey. You've turned a wrestling match into a reflex. An apartment at 9:40 p.m., blue light like aquarium water. Aisha wants to read, then scrolls. She adds a playbook. After 9, lamp on, phone in hallway, paper book open to marked page. She builds a walkway for herself. When the urge to scroll hits, she runs shift, 3 breaths, and reads the last sentence aloud. After 2 nights, her nervous system expects softness at 9. Expectation reduces friction. Friction reduction is the quiet science behind all good habits. Now blend garden and immunity in a live minute. Prepare the soil, clear your immediate reach, anchor your eyes. Plant a row, choose the smallest true move alive in your world and say its why. Tend the bed, set your faucet to stream. Place a shield, silence a ping or move 1 device. Sheath 1 intrusive thought with a park and return time. Shift, breathe 4-4-6 and read your last line aloud. Begin for 60 seconds. As you move, feel the keys, hear the faint whir in your space, notice the cool trace of air under your nose. If a surge arrives, call it weather, count to 90 quietly while your hands keep a modest rhythm. When the minute ends, stamp done. Extract 1 line of learning. Step into off for 2 slow breaths while looking at the farthest point in the room. That distance resets your visual system and your mind. A lab with humming equipment and the smell of ethanol. Theo, now in graduate school, is debugging a script and keeps toggling to news. He builds a shield with a website blocker for 90 minutes. He writes a sheath line for the worry, grant results, with a 4 p.m. return. He pairs re-entry with the talk of turning to a tape label on the machine each time he comes back. He harvests a passing test and stops for his Sabbath window, a walk around the building with 1 tree he visits daily. He calls the tree checkpoint. The tree is a gate more powerful than an app. His body files the walk as completion. The day stops feeling like 1 long smear of effort. It develops edges the nervous system can trust. Identity turns here. You used to narrate, "I'm bad at focus." Now you narrate, "I cultivate focus." You used to say, "I'm easily distracted." Now you say, "I run shield, sheath, and shift." You are not a person failing to avoid temptation. You are a gardener who knows which plants need shade and which need stakes. The mind responds differently to an identity that can act, not just resist. Add a tiny tool called the signal bell. Before high-value blocks, ring a single chime on your phone or a real bell. Then say, "Begin." After, ring it again and say, "End." The bell brackets the block and installs an auditory fence. Over days, the bell conditions your nervous system. Pavlov made dogs salivate. You will make your attention arrive. Scan your skin at your temples. Massage lightly with 2 fingers for 5 seconds. Feel your shoulders slide down. Hear the far, then the near, then your breath. You're not trying to create a mystical state. You're building repeatable cues your biology respects. Distraction sometimes comes dressed as fear of boredom. Boredom is a doorway. On the other side is depth. Use the boredom bridge when you want to leave a stream block at minute 3. You whisper, "Bored means I'm close to the edge." Then you write 1 ugly sentence or draw 1 rough sketch. Ugly is the toll to cross. Once you're across, interest often returns because the brain prefers moving puzzles to static complaints. You are not denying your feelings, you are educating them. A story at a kitchen table with 1 overhead light. Erin loves her partner and has avoided the budget spreadsheet because it feels dry and shaming. She installs a signal bell before the session and rings it softly. She prepares the soil with the value block title Stewardship 10 minutes. She plants 1 row, fill in 3 cells only. 2 minutes in, boredom prickles. She uses the bridge, whispers, edge, types 3 ugly notes, and the numbers begin to make sense. 10 minutes later, she stamps and writes, "I was a steward." Shame loses ground to stewardship not through epiphanies, but through rows. No garden is without pests. Your 2 biggest pests are rumination and tab creep. You'll trap rumination with the 3-window watch, past, present, next. When you catch yourself replaying, you breathe 4-4-6, then say, past, 1 sentence, present, 1 sensation, next, 1 action. 1-1-1. You shrink time back to a workable frame. You'll stop tab creep with the tab triage. At the top of each block, close or park everything that isn't the work row. During the block, if you open a tab, you must audibly say why. Speaking engages the prefrontal cortex and makes mindless opening feel silly. Silly is a useful break. Feel your heart's soft thud in your chest, barely there. Trace 1 shadow on your desk with your gaze. Let your exhale grow 1 count longer. You're giving your body a steady drum under the work. Words and dials ride on drums. Your space can help if you rope it into the job. Create a studio corner even if it's a slice of table. A lamp that only turns on for stream, a cloth you spread for writing, a card with your values. The brain is place-dependent. When places acquire purpose, state follows. If life is chaotic and spaces must move, carry a kit, pen, small bell, card with shield sheath shift, tiny object for line of sight. Ritual beats architecture when architecture is scarce. A crowded house with kids sharing walls. Leela works at a small kitchen island. She builds a kit in a shoebox, lamp, bell, stone, cards. When it's time, she sets the lamp, rings once, places the stone, writes 1Y. The house still throbs, but the island becomes a studio because her nervous system associates the ritual with growing things. She stops telling herself she needs a cabin to be serious. She needs a square foot and a promise. You'll end this session by planting a row in real time. Prepare the soil, clear a reach-width circle, place your anchor, write 2 words for why, Plant a row, choose one move you can enact in 3 to 12 minutes. Speak your clean commit. Tend the bed, shield one channel, sheath one thought, shift with 446 and reading the last line aloud. Begin for 60 seconds. As you work, feel the keys, hear the hum, sense the air. If an urge to check or flee arises, use the boredom bridge or the 3-window watch. When the minute ends, stamp, harvest, write one sentence of learning, rest, look at the farthest thing you can see and breathe twice. That's a full cycle, nothing grand, everything true. Notice the warm coin under your sternum, the signal you've recognized across these sessions. It glows when action and intention meet. It hums when environment and identity align. You are not trying to be a monk. You're becoming a garden engineer, someone who builds conditions where focus is normal and distraction is a guest who wipes their feet. As identity shifts, let your language shift. You used to say, "I lose my place." Now you say, "I know how to return." You used to say, "I can't work here." Now you say, "I set the studio kit and grow." The room hasn't changed, your agency has. Agency is the quietest form of power. It doesn't need to shout because it has levers. Once more, inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6. Feel the desk, the air, the light. See your garden, however small, and the walkway across it. Imagine yourself tomorrow, ringing the bell, placing the stone, running shield sheath shift, planting one row. You won't always feel like it. You will often do it anyway. That is integrity under ordinary weather. The harvest comes from return, not from mood. You are the awareness, not the emotion. You are the engineer, not the echo. You are the gardener who keeps a clean field and a kind gate. In a world that sells frenzy, you cultivate a plot where signal grows. People will feel the difference in your presence long before they know the names of your methods. Let them feel it. Let your work feed them. You've cultivated a clean field for your work. Now you'll clean the channel between you and other people. Influence without static is not charisma. It's clarity traveling across nervous systems. Most conversations fail not because the ideas are weak, but because threat gets smuggled in the delivery and both brains tighten. Today you'll install 2 frameworks that let your voice carry steady under pressure: the signal question bridge and the clean request formula. The first organizes your message so anxious brains can hear it. The second converts vague wishes into actions others can actually do. Together, they turn difficult talks into clear paths, and they keep your identity intact when stakes rise. Start by checking your body the moment you imagine a hard conversation. Notice the micro-tightening across your chest, the tongue pressed to your palate, the impulse to over-explain. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6. As you exhale, feel your shoulders slide down as if warm water were poured over them. Place your eyes on one steady object in the room, a door frame, a mug's handle, a small shadow, and let your gaze rest. You're signaling your reticular activating system to downrank the room's noise so your words arrive unshaken. You are not performing confidence. You are borrowing physiology to carry truth. Signal question bridge, or SQB, has 3 beats your mouth can remember under stress. Signal is your crisp headline in one sentence, no qualifiers. Question is the one inquiry that opens the other person's prefrontal cortex instead of poking their amygdala. Bridge is the shortest path to a next step you can both take. You'll speak SQB in under 30 seconds. Short is not rude. Short is merciful to overloaded brains. A fluorescent conference room, marker smells sour sweet in the air. Myra's team has been circling a shipping date, everyone hedging. Old Myra tried to lay out a 5-minute rationale and lost the room to side debates. New Myra runs SQB. Signal, we ship on the 25th with 2 features, the third moves. She breathes once and adds question, is there any user risk I'm underestimating? She waits. Silence becomes thinking, not panic. An engineer names one risk. They scope a mitigation. Bridge, I'll update the brief by 3. Can you confirm the mitigation in 2 sentences? Heads nod. The date stops wobbling not because Myra grew fangs, but because she carried a clean signal, invited a brain, and built a bridge. Feel your fingertips resting on your desk. Notice the mild tack of skin, the temperature of the surface. Let your jaw unlatch 2 millimeters. Whisper your own signal about a real conversation you've been avoiding. Keep it under a breath. If it wants to sprawl, cut it with the language sanitizer you learned earlier. Swap always for often, ruined for complicated. Then craft one question that aims the other person's mind at collaboration, not defense. Finish with a bridge so small it could happen today. When fear bubbles, people add padding, apologies, tangents, a PowerPoint of caveats. Padding raises static. SQB strips padding and replaces it with sequence. Neuroscience kept human. When you lead with a clear signal, you give the other person's predictive coding a target. When you ask a focused question, you return blood to their prefrontal cortex. When you offer a bridge, you reduce ambiguity, and ambiguity is the amygdala's favorite snack. A story from a kitchen table at night, the light too blue from a hanging bulb. Dev needs to ask his roommate to stop leaving dishes for days. His chest tightens at the thought of sounding petty. He runs SQB aloud to the fridge first. Signal, I need the sink clear nightly. Question, how do we make that doable for you? Bridge, try a 5-minute wash timer at 9. He breathes 446, then speaks it to the roommate with a warm tone and a neutral face. The roommate blinks, then laughs with relief. Timer helps. I forget it's there. They pick 9. The sink clears because clarity won, not dominance. Dev feels the warm coin under his sternum, small and true. Check the temperature along your temples, cooler than your cheeks. Hear one near sound, your breath, then a far sound, a car, a hallway murmur. Sensory triads keep you from sprinting into old scripts when a face frowns. You will not be perfect. You will be present, which is better. Now the clean request formula, 4 moves that turn complaint into cooperation. Context, ask, criteria, calendar. Context gives 1 line of why this matters without blame. Ask is a single verb with a single subject and a single object. Criteria names how you'll both know it's done and good enough. Calendar puts it on time. People don't resist help, they resist fog. You lift the fog in 40 seconds. An open office with recycled air. Archero, who used window widen on stakeholders, needs a teammate's analysis by Friday but has been hinting. He switches to clean request. Context, I'm finalizing the deck Friday morning. Ask, can you send the churn chart by 4 p.m. Thursday? Criteria, CSV and a screenshot with month-over-month deltas. Calendar, I'll check it at 4:30. If you hit snags, ping me by noon. The teammate delivers. Archero wasn't lucky, he was specific. Specific is kind. Place a palm on your sternum and press gently for 2 breaths. That pressure grounds you while you speak plainly. If guilt flickers, who am I to ask? Use the worth whisper from last session. This doubt means I value humility. I'll pair humility with action. Then make the request. Clean asks keep relationships honest. Some conversations are charged because power runs through them. You'll use a companion move, the 2-chair turn. Before the talk, sit in your chair for 3 breaths and imagine their chair. Switch to it mentally and answer your own question as if you were them. This perspective flip quiets your threat detector and surfaces their constraints. You carry that empathy into your SQB. Empathy isn't capitulation, it's signal shaping. A glass-walled office that's too cold. Priya needs to push back on a VP's design direction. She runs to chair. In the VP's seat, she hears, "We need speed, we fear risk." Back in hers, she drafts SQB. Signal, "We can hit speed and protect conversion if we keep the original header." Question, "Would you trade the new hero for a faster footer test this week?" Bridge, "I'll ship the footer test by Friday, we review Monday." The VP nods because Priya aimed at the need behind the request. Her voice landed because it carried their context as well as her craft. Notice your tongue soften low in your mouth. Feel your spine stack as if each vertebra were a coin you place carefully. Stacked posture reduces vocal strain and opens resonance. Your voice reads as calmer even when your heart is busy. Biology carries message. You'll add a micro drill to defuse escalation in real time, the 12-word paraphrase. When tension rises, paraphrase their point in 12 words or fewer, then pause. You need confidence in timeline and test risk is your worry. Short mirrors disarm, they show you're tracking. Once mirrored, you can offer SQB without feeling like you're charging a wall. The amygdala relaxes when it feels seen. A hallway with carpeted hush. Leela's partner is agitated about scheduling. She wants to win. She chooses to understand. 12 words. "You're worried we'll overbook and lose a quiet weekend again." Partner exhales. Now Leela runs SQB gently. Signal, one anchor event, one blank block. Question, does Saturday morning blank or Sunday afternoon work better? Bridge, I'll block it now. They don't solve 40 years of time anxiety. They move the weekend from threat to plan. Sometimes your throat closes and your words vanish right when you need them. Build a throat saver, the 3-beat assert. It's a rhythm, not a script. Name, need, next. Name the behavior or decision neutrally. State your need as a value. Offer the next step, small and concrete. You can whisper the beats to yourself before speaking. Name, need, next. Rhythms survive adrenaline. A lab bench, ethanol sting in the air. Theo's collaborator keeps changing variables mid-test. He runs 3-beat assert. Name, when variables change mid-run. Need, I need consistent conditions to trust the data. Next, let's agree changes happen only between runs. He breathes, feels his pulse ease a hair, and looks at the anchor, the tape label on the beaker. The collaborator pushes back, then nods, then sticks to the plan. Theo didn't become domineering, he became audible. Check your hands. Rub thumb along the ridge of your index finger and feel the texture. That tiny sensation is a door back to now. When you hear your voice shake, you are allowed to steady your body mid-sentence. Speakers who can steady get heard. You'll encounter an internal saboteur, the prep abyss, endless preparing to avoid exposure. Meet it with the 1-page brief. Before a high-stakes talk, write 1 page only. Your signal, 3 anticipated questions with honest answers, 1 bridge you can offer, 1 sentence that names your value laid, honesty, care, courage, or craft. Then stop. Over-prep raises static. The brain tires and grabs padding. 1 page keeps your edges sharp. A story in a polished boardroom with bottled water sweating on coasters. Zahid must present the migration post-mortem to execs. He chooses drafts. He chooses the brief. Signal, we met resilience goals, missed 2 alert thresholds and fixed both. Questions, budget impact, user minutes lost, prevention. Bridge, run a canary playbook pilot next quarter. Value laid, stewardship. He breathes 446, runs the 2-point power plug, and speaks like a person who isn't hiding. The room stays adult because he stayed adult. Not all influence runs through speech. Some runs through silence. Use the golden 3, ask a question, and let the silence last 3 slow breaths before you fill it. Those 3 breaths feel like a canyon to you and like space to them. Brains need space to compute without defense. If you fill it, you teach them to let you carry the cognitive load, and you carry resentment later. Silence now prevents static later. Feel the cool air at your nostrils, the warm exhale over your lip. Hear the softest sound, the fan, a far car. Let 3 breaths actually pass. That was longer than your habit. Let it be. You'll blend SQB with the clean request in a live drill. Think of a real ask. Breathe once. Signal it in 1 sentence. Offer 1 question that invites joint problem solving. Add context in 1 line, then specify the ask, criteria, and calendar. Finish with a bridge so they know where their feet land. Say it out loud now softly. As you speak, feel the weight in your heels, the width across your back, the warmth in your palms. Your body is part of the message. A grounded body tells other bodies, no threat here, just work. A startup kitchen with clatter from dishes. Erin needs her manager to shield a focus block or the budget work will slip. Old Erin apologized for existing. New Erin breathes. Signal, I need a protected block 10-12 Tuesdays. Question, which work can we move to make that clean? Context, budget accuracy depends on 2 quiet hours. Ask, please decline invites in that window and set a team status. Criteria, 2 hours, no slack. I'll deliver a draft each time. Calendar starting next Tuesday. Bridge, I'll send the recurring block now. Manager blinks, then says, yes, send it. Erin stamps her done stamp and writes later in her mirror ledger, I was clear. There will be moments the other person can't or won't give you what you asked. You stay clean by using the option fan. Name 2 acceptable alternatives that honor your values and theirs, then pick the smallest joint test. If daily stand-up can't move, can we try camera off for the first 10 minutes while I finish the analysis? If that fails, I'll shift my block to afternoons for a week. Options shrink threat. Tests respect reality. You remain an engineer, not a supplicant. When a conversation turns sharp, rescue it with the 2-window pane you learned. Facts left, meanings right. Say, let's write facts first for 1 minute. Set a timer. People calm when pens move. Then ask 1 value-aligned question. Which decision serves our users best today? You're not avoiding conflict. You're changing the channel from limbic to prefrontal in both heads. Feel the curve of your upper back soften as you exhale. Sense your feet gripping the floor. Your posture is a vote for how this goes. Vote for steadiness. Close this session by rehearsing 3 live beats. First, pick 1 conversation you owe someone. Craft an SQB to fit inside 1 breath. Second, turn it into a clean request with context, ask, criteria, calendar, and a small bridge. Third, stand or sit in 2-point integrity, stacked spine, resting gaze, and speak it once to the room you're in. If your throat closes, use the 12-word paraphrase on the fear. I'm afraid they'll reject this, and I'll be embarrassed. Whisper the worth, whisper, then speak anyway. Identity shifts here. You used to say, I'm not good at hard talks. Now you say, I run SQB and ask cleanly. You used to rely on volume or on silence. Now you rely on sequence. Sequence is mercy. Sequence is power without heat. 1 more 4-4-6 breath. On the exhale, picture the studio. High windows, pale light, your drawer of small cards. Add a brass bell for beginnings and endings. Add 2 chairs for 2-chair turn. Add a small paper on the table with 3 lines. Signal, question, bridge. When your day asks for voice, you walk in, ring once, breathe once, and speak like the person you've been becoming. The awareness, not the emotion, the engineer, not the echo, the calm carrier of clear asks who makes rooms safer and work cleaner. You've cleaned your conversations. Now you'll learn to keep this way of living alive across months and seasons. Clarity fails most often not in a day, but in the drift between quarters, when routines loosen, goals mutate, and entropy sneaks in wearing your old habits. Today you'll design continuity, so clean isn't a phase, it's your default. Two frameworks will anchor the long arc: the seasonal systems map and the Future-Self Handshake. The map shows you how your tools interlock: breath, boundaries, faucet, garden, so when one slips, another catches you. The handshake is a compact contract between today, you, and 3 months from now, you, built on proof instead of hype. Together, they make your life anti-noise not by perfection, but by graceful redundancy. Begin by feeling the present season in your body. Notice the air on your cheeks, cooler or thicker than last week. Feel your ribs widen on the inhale and settle like a book on a shelf on the exhale. Let your jaw unclench by 2 quiet millimeters. Let your tongue rest low. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6. As you breathe out, picture a calendar page curling at the corner. Time is moving whether you steer or not. The map and the handshake put your hands on the wheel with light pressure you can maintain. The seasonal systems map has 4 rings you'll sketch in 5 minutes. Core, daily, weekly, surge. Core is the non-negotiable physiology that keeps the lights on: sleep window, 4-switch reset, 2-point power plug. Daily is the action choreography: focus, faucet blocks, clean commits, garden rows, inbox bridge. Weekly is the scaffolding: Sabbath window, precision pulses, review, mirror ledger, error budgets, refresh. Surge is your storm kit: 90-second weather rule, clear debrief, 2-window pane, mercy reset. You aren't chasing a pretty diagram, you're building redundancy. If daily wobbles, surge intervenes. If surge repeats, weekly resets. If weekly is skipped, core carries you until you can rebuild. Systems fail gracefully when rings overlap. A studio apartment with 1 window that looks onto bricks. Nico freelances and lives by mood. Summers hum, winters sink. They draw the map on a scrap of paper. Core, sleep 11-7 when possible. Morning light 2 minutes. 4-4-6 before first task. Daily, stream 20 on revenue work at 9. Trickle 15 inbox at 12 and 4. Garden row for portfolio at 3. Weekly, Sabbath window Sunday morning. Mirror ledger nightly 2 lines. Error budget for outreach misses. Surge, weather rule for panic. Clear in stairwell after rejections. Mercy reset before dinner when a day explodes. 2 months later, a cold spell drags energy low. Daily falters. Nico doesn't panic. They drop to core and surge, light, breath, weather, clear, and keep 1 clean commit a day. Work limps but doesn't collapse. When energy returns, weekly rebuilds daily. The arc bends because a small paper told the body what to do when mood left the room. Check the temperature at your temples. Feel the weight across your sit bones. Let your eyes rest on a single line in the room, a shadow edge, a shelf seam, and soften your gaze. You're practicing the felt sense of continuity. Seasons don't scare nervous systems that know where the floor is. Now the Future-Self Handshake. It's a compact promise that survives boredom and stress because it is built from repeatable behaviors, not declarations. The handshake has 3 clauses: anchor, evidence, adjustment. Anchor is 1 sentence that names who you're becoming in this season, framed as a present identity. I am a person who. Evidence are 2 measurable, stampable behaviors that prove the anchor weekly. Adjustment is the pre-agreed move you'll take when evidence slips for 7 days. Written properly, The handshake keeps you honest without cruelty. A hallway with humming fluorescent lights. Maya just got promoted and fears she'll drown in meetings and lose her craft. She writes her handshake on a card. Anchor, I am a leader who ships clarity and protects craft. Evidence, 2 stream blocks weekly on design docs, 1 SQB ask per week to protect team focus. Adjustment, if either misses for a week, cancel 1 low-impact meeting and book a Friday morning stream, run clear on the miss. The card lives next to her keyboard. When quarter-end chaos arrives, she misses both proofs. Her chest tightens, old static whispers failure. She breathes 446, reads the adjustment aloud, cancels the least valuable meeting, blocks the stream, and runs a 2-minute clear. She stamps a doc Friday. The world doesn't applaud. Her nervous system does. Place a palm on your sternum and feel the warm coin you've learned to find, that quiet signal of alignment. Whisper your own anchor, now even if it's rough. I am a person who, let your shoulders adjust around the sentence like a jacket finding your shape. Identity settles by repetition, not by proclamation. Seasons bring drift and drift brings clutter. You'll pair the map with a monthly ritual called the entropy audit. It's brief, almost playful. You walk through 3 domains, space, schedule, stories, and ask, where is dust? Space dust is physical clutter. Schedule dust is meetings, apps, or obligations that grew like vines. Story dust is a narrative that once protected you but now fogs your choices. The audit ends with 1 friction melt per domain, 5% only. You're not spring cleaning. You're lowering noise slowly enough that your biology doesn't rebel. An office with a window that faces an alley. Archero notices tabs breeding, a Slack channel he no longer needs, and a story that he must answer instantly to be seen as competent. Entropy audit, space, close 12 tabs and pin 2, schedule, leave the channel and post a kind goodbye, story, rewrite as competence equals clarity, not immediacy. He does 3 5% melts and feels a surprising exhale, like easing a belt 1 notch after dinner. That notch is cognitive space he can spend on work that matters. Notice 1 near sound, 1 far sound, then your breath. Let your exhale lengthen a count. These triads are your lint roller for the mind. They pull the fuzz off your attention so your tools grip. Some seasons demand new ratios of focus, social, and decision from your charge ledger. That's where the seasonal rebalance comes in. At quarter turn, you sketch your current mix. Maybe focus is high, social starved, decision overheated. You choose 1 small deposit to raise the lowest account. You also choose 1 withdrawal to stop feeding. Then you place both on your calendar as value blocks. You're not optimizing. You're preventing debt that would whisper scarcity into every choice. A pediatric ward hallway, beeps and footsteps, Layla the nurse from earlier. Flu season spikes decision and social, focus shrinks. In her rebalance, she adds a micro-focus deposit after rounds, 2 minutes to write 1 sentence learning before handoff. She also stops a withdrawal, no charting with Slack open. The changes look silly on paper. They feel sane in her bones. At month's end, she still has voltage left for her kids' bedtime. You'll add a small tool that binds seasons to meaning, the North Star KPI. KPI here stands for kindness, progress, integrity. Each week you rate them 1-3 with 1 sentence of why. Kindness, how you treated yourself and others under stress. Progress, stamped dones that truly moved the work. Integrity, how often you acted your values in minutes. No dashboards, no judgment. This KPI makes numbers serve your soul, not replace it. A grey Sunday afternoon. Erin writes, kindness, 2 paused before snapping, progress, 3 budget rows shipped. Integrity, 2, asked for the Tuesday block. The numbers aren't for bragging, they're for steering. When integrity dips, she knows to run the values compass before her next yes. Check the backs of your knees, feel quiet warmth. Notice the subtle stretch across your shoulders as you roll them back slowly. Feel the chair's firmness under your thighs. You are engraving safety into seasons. Safe bodies choose better. Drift also arrives as subtle relapse, old behaviors wearing new clothes. You'll catch it with the relapse radar, a list of 3 signals that mean noise is rising before it roars. It could be tab hopping, jaw clenched by 10 a.m., or apologizing for every request. You write your 3 signals where you can see them. When 2 appear in a day, you run a mini return, 4 switch reset, 1 clean commit, and a done stamp. Detection without drama. A cramped kitchen, plant leaning toward light. Dev's radar is simple, phone in hand on waking, skipping breakfast water, scrolling during stream. Tuesday, 2 of 3 hit. He runs the mini return, light at the window, 446, 3 sips, 10 seconds of movement. Then 1 clean commit, email landlord about sink. Stamp. The day pivots a degree. That degree matters 72 hours later when it accumulates into a different week. You might wonder how to keep freshness when repetitions accumulate. Use the variation valve. Choose 1 tool each week to swap its flavor without changing its function. 446 becomes 336. Garden row becomes pen on paper. Mirror ledger becomes a voice memo. Your nervous system likes novelty. Your identity likes stability. Variation lets them shake hands. A co-working space with polished concrete floors. Priya swaps her signal bell for a soft clap and her line of sight stone for a paper clip. The work is the same, the texture changes. She arrives easier because the ritual feels new without costing her more choices. Bring attention to your pulse at your wrist. Count 3 beats, then release. Hear the farthest sound you can perceive. Taste the faint tang in your mouth. These quick anchors keep your awareness ahead of drift. Now build your map in live time. On a scrap or in your notes, write the 4 rings, core, daily, weekly surge, and jot 2 items under each that you've used in this journey. Don't aim for completeness. Aim for catch points. Next, write your handshake. I'm a person who, followed by 2 weekly proofs and 1 adjustment. Speak it softly. If your chest tightens, shrink the proofs until your breath loosens. Plausible beats heroic. Heroics break when weather changes. Plausibility survives. A story under grey sky and thin winter light. Hana, now in her first job, feels the season change bite her mornings. She writes a handshake on a sticky note by the kettle. Anchor, I am a person who arrives ready. Evidence, 2-minute light at window, 1 clean commit before slack. Adjustment, if I miss both, I do a mercy reset at lunch and an early night. She misses a Wednesday, guilt pokes. She runs the adjustment without theater. Thursday, she arrives ready, not because willpower roared, but because systems held. Check the edge of the desk with your fingertips, feel the ridge. Let your eyes soften to blur and then sharpen to a single point. That shift is what you're designing at scale, the ability to widen to see seasons and narrow to move this minute. You'll marry seasons to relationships with the cadence covenant. It's a tiny recurring ritual with someone who matters, partner, friend, manager. 5 minutes, same time, same questions. What mattered? What's next? How can I support you? Then you share 1 value you enacted and 1 error budget line you used. This is not corporate. It's human maintenance. Brains feel safe when rhythm exists. A living room with the soft hiss of a heater. Leela and her partner stand by their candle for the nightly 15-minute window and add Sunday cadence. They answer the 3 questions, say 1 I was line each from their mirror ledgers, and name one adjustment for the week. The room feels less like an airport and more like a home. They fight less not because they avoid tension, but because weekly rhythm bleeds static out of small frictions before they stick. Drift whispers questions about legacy. Legacy is a big word, you'll shrink it to the daily trace. The trace is what your presence leaves in other nervous systems: steadiness, rush, confusion, clarity. Once a week, you ask one person what trace you left in a moment. In Tuesday's meeting, what did my presence do to the room? You receive their sentence without defense, run clear if needed, and add one micro-adjustment to your map. This is humility with a steering wheel. A boardroom with glass that shows a city of rectangles. Zahid asks a peer after the post-mortem, "What trace?" They say, "You made the room exhale when you named the miss without blame." Zahid writes in his mirror ledger, "I was steady," and in his map under weekly, rehearse one blame-free sentence before high stakes. He isn't hunting compliments, he is calibrating impact. Feel your breath spill warm over your upper lip. Notice the pressure of your feet on the floor. Hear a faint hum and place it behind you in your mind's map of the room. You're building spatial awareness on purpose. People with a clean mindset occupy space gently and firmly, like a musician who knows where the beat sits. To close the architecture, install the quarter-turn ceremony. It's 20 minutes once every 3 months. You open your studio in your mind: high windows, pale light, the drawer with budgets and cards, the brass bell, the little compass. You ring once. You read your mirror ledger highlights, 3 lines only. You check your North Star KPI trend with calm eyes. You redraw your map with a pencil. You rewrite your handshake in ink. You pick one value to lead the quarter. Then you plant one garden row right there. 60 seconds of the smallest true move toward what matters next. Ceremony without mystique. Gravity for the arc. An anecdote at a park bench with wind that smells like rain. Erin runs her first quarter turn on a Saturday morning, a thermos beside her. She rings a travel bell, rewrites her handshake, and picks stewardship as the lead. She opens her phone, sets a recurring Tuesday block with her manager, and writes the first sentence of next quarter's budget narrative with cold fingers. Passing runners don't know what they're seeing. She knows. A life being steered with small, repeatable rests and returns. Identity shifts this far into the journey are quiet and sturdy. You used to describe yourself as someone who tries to be organized or gets motivated in bursts. Now you are someone who maps seasons and shakes hands with your future. You've moved from seeking intensity to installing continuity. That difference shows up in your face, less pinched at the eyes, more length through the neck, and in your calendar, more stones and fewer sandstorms. Find the coin of warmth under your sternum again. It's heavier now, not as a burden but as ballast. Ballast steadies a ship so small waves don't flip it. With ballast, you don't need to police every thought. You trust your rings to catch you. You are the awareness, not the emotion. You are the engineer, not the echo. You are the steward of systems that protect your clean mind from seasonal rust. Run one live sequence to seal this session. Breathe 4-4-6. Write your anchor, choose 2 weekly proofs, name your adjustment, jot 2 catch points for your seasonal systems map, 1 in core, 1 in surge. Add 1 item to your relapse radar. Speak your anchor once more and feel how your shoulders align around it. Then plant a 60-second row towards something 3 months away. Open the dock, set the call, label the folder, lay the first stone. Stamp done. Whisper, I keep my word over seasons. Listen for the quiet click of your nervous system believing you. Raise your eyes to the farthest point in the room. Let them soften. Hear the near, the far, then your breath. The quarter is already turning. You are already steering. And the people around you will feel the trace. a steadier room because you walked into it with a map in your pocket and a promise in your hand. You've built tools, edges, and rhythms. Today you'll stitch them into a life you can carry forward when nobody is watching and nothing is urgent, because that's when drift sneaks in. The final move isn't more intensity, it's integration. You'll install two closing frameworks, the Clean Horizon and the one-page operating system. The Clean Horizon gives you a daily arc that feels like a single clear line instead of 1,000 scattered dots. The one-page OS keeps your practices visible on a sheet you can glance at in 10 seconds and obey in 60. Together, they make your clean mindset portable, repeatable, and quietly contagious. Begin by inhabiting the body that will walk this arc. Feel the chair hold your weight, the mild pressure under your thighs, the touch of fabric at your collarbones. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6. As you exhale, imagine a line of light starting at your feet, traveling up your legs, your spine, the back of your head, out the crown. That line is your horizon, a sense of forward you can feel even with eyes closed. Your nervous system reads lines. Curves are fine, the line just keeps you pointed. The Clean Horizon divides a day into 3 named bands: open, make, close. Open is 90 minutes of gentle ascent where you lay signal without friction. The 4 switch reset, a stream block on your most valuable row, a single value block that whispers who you are. Make is the middle stretch where you run precision pulses, defend with beacons, and harvest with stamps, stone first, sand after. Close is the descent where you reconcile charge and story, run the mirror ledger, plant tomorrow's first stone, and shut the gate with a soft click so sleep has a clean runway. Simple words, exact choreography. You're not chasing perfect hours. You're teaching your biology what morning, midday, and evening mean in your language. A Tuesday in a small apartment with light like watered milk. Nor, whose sticky thoughts once heckled her, names her bands. Open, light at the window, a 446, 1 stream on the proposal's first paragraph. Make 2 precision pulses and a welcome walkway for inevitable knocks. Close, a mirror ledger line, I was clear, plus the 3 doors ritual at the bedroom threshold. Retain, release, ready. She doesn't become a morning person by manifesto. She becomes a person with a morning that behaves. When a meeting lands in open, she widens the window. She moves the single stream earlier and treats the meeting as a sand block. When a crisis erupts in make, she uses the 90-second weather rule, then runs 1 clear debrief before she returns. When fatigue smudges close, she lets the ledger shrink to 1 sentence and rings the bell anyway. Continuity beats intensity. Check your jaw, loosen it 2 millimeters. Feel the cool trace at the tip of your nose on the inhale, the faint warmth on your upper lip as you exhale. Let your gaze land on one still object, the lip of a cup, a door hinge, and rest there. Your horizon is not an idea. It's 3 bands your senses can recognize and your tools can populate. Now the one-page operating system. It's a single sheet that holds your anchors, rows, and repairs so you don't have to remember what to do when your brain is noisy. The page has 5 boxes. Today's north, 1 value word. First stone, your clean commit in 1 line. Focus Faucet plan, off trickle stream burst slots with times. Immunity, shield sheath shift Q and welcome walkway line. And return, error budget stat, clear steps, mercy reset. It lives where your eyes land first, taped to a monitor, inside a notebook, or as the first note in your phone. In a spare room with a desk made from 2 sawhorses and a door, ye fills the page at 8:45. Today's north, craft, first stone, write the hallway smell paragraph. Faucet plan, stream 9000920, off 9/29/22, stream 9/22/942, trickle 12/15 inbox, burst 3/10 export. Immunity, shield signal mode on, sheath CU 430, walkway 2 questions only. Return, budget, 1 wobble, clear, capture, label, extract, adjust, renew, mercy, 1 pulse pre-dinner. At 11:00, anxiety arrives with a hiss. Ye glances at the page, runs the sheath line, breathes and returns. The page doesn't cheerlead, it steers. Feel the weight of your forearms on your desk, the slight tack of skin to surface. Press your feet into the floor for 5 seconds and release. Your body understands checklists only if you let it participate. Pressure tells it the plan is anchored, not floating. You'll stitch the horizon and the OS with a ceremony shorter than a song, opening bell, closing bell. Before open, you ring once or clap once and speak your first stone aloud. After close, you ring once and speak one "I was" line. That sound bookends your day with intention and evidence. Sound becomes memory, memory becomes identity. This is who we are, the bell says, without words. A story in a cramped lab, ethanol in the air. Theo used to start mid-scroll and end mid-guilt. He places a small chime by his monitor. 8:58 ring, first stone, run test case A528 ring. I was steady when the plot glitched. His evenings stop tasting like unfinished business. He doesn't become a different person. He becomes the person he said he was in the morning. Clean Horizon meets storms with a tool you've touched, but now formalize as an emergency mode. The 12-minute lifeboat. When days capsize, you climb in and row 12 minutes only. 4 switch reset, 1 clean commit on the smallest viable stone, done stamp, clear if needed. Then you let the rest of the day be human. You don't requisition heroics, you keep the thread. Threads survive storms. Notice the space behind your eyes, cool and hollow. Let your exhale lengthen 1 count. Sense the soft thud in your chest, a quiet drum. Under that drum, you name the person you're being. Whisper, "I keep a thread." Feel your shoulders realign around that sentence like a jacket settling on your frame. The last missing piece is continuity across others. You'll build a microculture around you with a simple practice called trace notes. At the end of 1 collaboration block each day, you write a 2-sentence note that leaves a clean trace. What you did, what's next, what you'll ask tomorrow. It's not for flair, it's for nervous systems. People relax around people who leave handles. Handles reduce noise. Reduced noise increases output. You are not responsible for their reaction. You are responsible for your trace. A glass-walled office that's too cold. Priya leaves a trace note after a design pass. Pushed header contrast to 7:1. Footer test queued for Friday. Next I'll wire mobile. Tomorrow I'll ask for your top 2 risks. Her PM breathes easier and stops pinging at 9 p.m. because the note satisfies the brain's radio silence panic. Priya doesn't send essays, she sends clarity. If you ever fear you're turning into a machine, remember the sanctuary room you furnished early in this journey. It's alive inside the Clean Horizon. You visit it for 60 seconds between bands. Sit, breathe 446, touch the warm coin under your sternum, and remember, you are the awareness, not the emotion, the engineer, not the echo. Then you exit and do the next clear minute. Machines grind, you glide. Check your hands, rub thumb across the ridge of your index finger and feel the tiny squeak of skin. Hear a near sound and a far sound. Smell the air, even if it's nothing. These sensory trios are your passport stamps. They mark the crossings between bands. The more stamps you collect, the easier the crossings become. You will end this book not with a promise to never struggle, but with a competence to return. That competence lives in 5 places you can touch on a tired day: breath, 446, focus, faucet, choice, prism plus clean, commit, repair, clear plus error, budget, and direction, values, compass. You have built a studio, a garden, a ledger, a bell, and a map. You have practiced being the person who sets the valve, plants 1 row, stamps done, and tells the truth kindly. Identity grows where behavior repeats under normal light. A final short story, ordinary, precise. Morning train, steel squeal, stale air. Malik glances at his 1-page OS in his notes app. North, steadiness. First stone, draft code review, comment 1 kindly. Stream for 12. A Slack surge hits, he runs the sheath. See you 4:30. 90 seconds of weather while his shoulders drop. He writes the comment with the 12-word paraphrase embedded. You want consistency across files, and readability is your priority. He stamps, rings a silent bell in his head, looks out the grimy window, and feels the coin of warmth under his sternum. The city doesn't change. His day does. He arrives not as a tangle of good intentions, but as a person carrying a horizon. This last practice is your graduation and your maintenance. The 60-second clean start. Anytime, any place, you can start the day over in 1 minute. Breath, 446. Whisper your north word. Write a first stone you can finish in 2 minutes. Set the faucet to stream. Shield 1 ping. Shift by reading your last line aloud. Begin. Stamp. That is a life. Starts that are small and honest, repeated more often than you feel like repeating them. Feel your feet, press them down, release. Feel your spine stack, then settle. Let your eyes soften to the edge of the room. You are the awareness, you are the engineer. When noise returns, and it will, you will not narrate doom, you will run the tools. When you wobble, you will run clear and return. When you forget, you will remember that identity is written in the next minute, not last week's diary. When you stand in a doorway tonight, hand on the frame, you will whisper retain, release, ready, and then you will add respect for the person who showed up here, practiced, and kept a thread. Tomorrow you will ring once. You will write 1 line that says where your attention belongs first. You will plant a row and defend it kindly. You will use your voice to carry clarity without heat. You will stamp done and leave a trace that makes rooms safer. You will close gently, as if dimming a light in a sanctuary. People will feel something change around you even if they don't know why. That why is simple. You learn to cut mental noise. You chose clean. You kept choosing. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6. Touch the warm coin under your sternum. That is your horizon in miniature. Steady, warm, yours, carry it. When the world hurls glittering distractions or quiet sorrows, you will still have something small and honest to do in the next 60 seconds. That is power. That is peace. That is you.